Hello everyone, welcome to the first ever World Championships for Legacy's Allure. You might have seen me play this game on the channel quite a while back, must have been like at least half a year ago at this point, and I haven't posted a video since, but I've still been playing, and the World Championships for Season 1 just came out. I've been playing these matches. This is a pre-recorded video that we're going to be watching through right now. We've been playing this tournament series over the course of a month. I'll explain a little bit about what's going on with this game. Now, this first match here was a little bit messy on my own part, so we're going to kind of quickly go through this one and dive deeper into some of the strategies that we used in the follow-up matches. But basically, if you don't know what Legacy's Allure is, it's all about placing units on the board as we're doing here in the drafting phase, and then we're going to be taking turns back and forth, similar to chess. We get to use one unit at a time. So it's a war game, but obviously there's a card game element to this as well. So both players build a kingdom, and all of these kingdoms have to be 160 gold, which you can see on the top right corner of all of these cards. This is just me scrolling through some of my own cards. I'm playing a Sylvan list, the green color here. And we get to pick a special hero. So my hero is Anwyn, and you get to pick some special abilities for her as well. This is my opponent's kingdom that I'm looking at here, which is Guard in blue, and my opponent's playing the hero Tristan. So this drafting phase kind of provides something like a almost like a sideboard in other card games if you've played things like Magic. And so we get 160 gold kingdom we get to bring, but we only get to draft 80 gold. And so I get to see all of my opponent's cards as well. So I have to kind of think about what my opponent might draft. There's a lot of intelligent decisions to make. In the drafting phase alone, you can win or lose matches sometimes, just in the drafting phase if you draft really poorly. So this is a very important stage. But you have to keep an eye on that timer off to the right side there, because if you spend too much time thinking, then you're going to run out of time to actually play the game. So this first match is against the player Negat. Now this tournament is a double elimination. So basically, if you lose, then there's another bracket, a lower bracket that you face in at a second shot at getting first place. So you lose twice, then you're out of the tournament. So I'm going to try to provide some commentary based on you guys who are probably newer, but I know there's going to be a lot of people watching who are very familiar with Legacy's Allure. So I'm going to kind of hopefully provide commentary for both. Probably in these earlier stages, I'm going to be adjusting commentary towards newer players who don't know what's going on. Now, if you don't know what all these cards do as I'm calling them out, I'll try and name each of them. You can go to legaciesallure.com to view all of these cards. Because obviously you can see there's a lot of card text here, and when the creatures are played down on the board, you don't really see that so much. So, my list revolves around Bowmaster generally, Tethir Bowmaster. This is an archer. He's got a few things going on for him. Whenever he attacks, I can choose to give him -1 power +1 range, or +1 power -1 range. So he can extend up to 4 range, essentially. There's another card that I will eventually play here. Oh, I don't know if I played it on this one. But this guy generally pairs with Tethir Fletcher, which triggers some extra effects on a ranged attack. My opponent's a little bit... he's got a lot of defensive cards with this Armor 1 keyword, which basically reduces all sources of physical damage by 1, which is pretty tricky. So there's a lot of footage to go through. As I mentioned, we've played through pretty much this past month. Yeah, we started on January 1st, because this match right here happened on January 1st. I was not doing my best, and I'll give a little bit of a spoiler here. I did not pilot this very well, but I wanted to zip through this one pretty quickly because we did have a game crash in here as well. By the way, I didn't even mention, but what you're viewing here right now is the official digital client for Legacy's Allure. All of my videos in the past have been on the tabletop simulator, and this is the client. It's not publicly released yet, but I'm sure if you hop into the Discord and ask, you can receive a key if you really want. But this is going to be releasing later this year, I imagine. So this is the very first look, actually, at the digital client, which is super cool. Way better than Tabletop Simulator. It does all the managing for you. Okay, so some things I wanted to talk about in this match, though. Again, we're going to go through it a little bit quickly, but I wanted to mention some of the mistakes that I made in this one. Neged played this very well, so big props to him for this match. But I'm going to zip through a little bit. Maybe I'll explain a little bit of how the draft is going first. So if you're newer to the game, we will take turns playing cards. Basically, the first player to play their cards is the attacker. They can play as many cards as they like on their side of the board, which is in this blue border. And then when they pass the turn, the opponent has to either match or exceed the total amount of gold that that player played. So this is how we're going back and forth between the draft a little bit. The hero can have items equipped to them and abilities, as I mentioned. You don't have to pick these. You could pick no abilities and items if you really chose. I decided to go for, you'll see this very consistently across my matches as well, Nature's Bosom, Tranquility, and Arcane Stone. Typical build for Anwyn. Arcane Stone generates me 1 mana every round, and Nature's Bosom allows me to do a number of things. I can heal, I can give a shield, or I can remove a debuff. Actually, I can do or and or. So I can pick any number of options. Tranquility pretty much disables a unit, but it makes them take 0 damage for the round. So very powerful card, very powerful ability. And Anwyn has a special little text, which hopefully I'll scroll back to in a sec, where whenever she uses an ability, I can choose to spend an extra mana to give her +1 action. And so a lot of this game is going to be about getting as many actions as possible. Season 1 is all about this. This is probably going to be the end of Season 1. Even though this is the start of the digital client, Legacy's Allure has been out for a long time on physical space. So it's an actual physical game. But Season 2 is coming out pretty soon. Hello! This looks awesome. What game is this? It does look awesome. Who made this? You should play this game, Dex. Yeah, so I mentioned we were going to go through this pretty quickly, but I'm using this first match as kind of a... just explaining on how the game works for those who might not be familiar. And if you really want to know all of the rules, I think I made a video on this. I'll link it at some point. But yeah, we're going to take turns back and forth going to the draft. Once the game actually starts... Here, we'll zip ahead to the game start. Because we had a lot of footage to go through, so I want to kind of speed through this one. So, lots of cards on the board. We can fill out this whole board with 18 different units. So what's going to happen now that the drafting phase is over is we're going to take turns going back and forth. The attacker goes first. You'll see with the swords here, and he gets the defender. And every time we move or use a unit, they become exhausted, and then we pass to the opponent. There's going to be 7 rounds, and on the once everyone's units are exhausted, we move to round 2. Everything else becomes unexhausted. And the key thing to pay attention to is who made the last action. So whoever made the last action in this round, when we transition to round 2, the opposing player will start that round. It'll be their turn first. But there is one extra tricky thing you can do, and there's a skip button that you can use to just pass a unit on the spot, and this doesn't count as acting with that unit. But anyways, Nigat's thinking a little bit about this first turn. My first move, I used my Grovekeeper Druid down here to summon an extra unit into the game. There's not many units that can do this, but Grovekeeper is very special. This allowed me to summon this Treant, which is a 3/6, 1 movement creature. And when he attacks something, it also roots the something. But it also has Steadfast. So the reason that I did this is because there's an Ultra Knight drafted across from my Silverglade Ranger. I want to also point out about how poor my draft is on this one. Again, this was January 1st. Wasn't exactly feeling it. But Sylvan really excels at disabling the opponent with debuffs. They've got a lot of roots and break as well. Break's especially important into things like knights, because you can bypass that armor, and a lot of Sylvan's hitters, their attackers, are really small things, so that 1 armor really stacks up a lot. But this was my plan in the draft, was to just dump a Steadfast unit here to protect my Silverglade. I do have the ability to shield my Silverglade, so it doesn't die to 1-shot from the Ultra Knight, but I wanted to kind of build this up first, and build units around it. But without any roots in the kingdom, I don't even have a Tethir Fletcher. It's going to be so difficult to deal with these, well, with this Ultra Knight. And that was just I don't know what I was thinking. I like the Treant move to block. Yeah, investing the shield right off the bat doesn't feel great. Like, you want some flexibility on where that shield should go in the future. Generally, I am going to want the shield here anyways, because maybe in round 2, this Ultra Knight gets in a position where he's still threatening the Silverglade. Ultra Knight's pretty devastating for that reason, because Silverglade is one of the best counters to Knights, but maybe not so much the Ultra Knight. So, Nigat gave a +1... Oh, sorry, I gave a shield. No movement. But this Pegasus is currently threatening my 2/2, so I gotta be careful about that. And what I did here was I gave Tranquility to the Taunting Satyr. So this one makes him immune to all damage, but he can't attack. But he can still use abilities. And Taunting Satyr's ability is to force an adjacent enemy to attack him. He can move twice and then do that. So right now I'm threatening this Knight, and the Taunting Satyr isn't going to exhaust or anything. A little bit of a silly move. I mean, usually I would do this with Quicken, so that you can unexhaust him and then activate him a second time, but I don't do that here. Again, I'm not really thinking on the top of my game, and Nigat just moves the Knight forwards. And sure, maybe if I actually taunted this guy and he just moves to this space anyways, I can't really target it with too much stuff, but action advantage is a big thing in this game. So when your opponent is threatening to exhaust one of your units, it's generally good to use that unit, otherwise you lose, basically you lose a turn, right? Each of these units represents an extra turn that you have over your opponent. And so it's important to keep watch on that. So Nigat activates his Knight. It means that I'm not going to have to deal with it, thankfully, so that's cool. And for a similar reason, I pass my 2/2. Now, did I have to keep him here? Still in range of the Pegasus? Not really. I could have moved him back. But I chose to put him there for whatever reason. Maybe I want to bait him into my Centaur Guard killing. The Centaur Guard was a decision as well. I mean, I think I picked the Centaur Guard because of all the crossbowmen that Nigat drafted. The Centaur Guard, when he's attacked, reduces the damage by 1. He basically, well, he has armor 1. But only when receiving damage, or when being attacked. Though he does get one shot by the Ultra Knight, which happens in this match, sadly. Yep, forgot to bring Wisp. I brought literally no debuffs. Absolutely no debuffs, well, except the Silverglade Ranger, I guess. And so that was just a big miss, but like I said, I mean, this was pretty much a throwaway match. I played pretty bad, Nigat played pretty well. Yeah. Yep, opponent has action advantage as well. And I will run out of units. Yeah, this is something important to pay attention to on the draft too. Nigat drafted a full 18 unit board. I don't think I did. I had some extra spaces open. Now, Anwyn does represent a couple actions. And you can kind of play around with things like maybe if my Taunting Satyr moved first and I didn't trank it, then I could steal an action from my opponent, and I can maybe grab action advantage back that way. I do a sneaky little swap here, which is cute, but it doesn't do too much. My plan is, this guy also has pathing, which lets him move past units. I'm just going to steal center. And then there's an annoying Taunting Satyr in the center of the board. But, yeah. There's a few other things I want to talk about in this match. Ultimately, it was played pretty poorly, so, I mean, I don't want anyone to use this as a golden standard. So we're going to skip through a little bit on this one. Basically, all that was missed was the disables, no debuffs in this deck, which makes it really difficult to protect the Bowmaster, especially against Ultra Knight. Like, Steadfast is okay as a one-time block, but as soon as the Ultra Knight comes in, now it's really difficult to defend. And so we'll just kind of go through. I think that's about all I wanted to talk about with this match, because we did have a game crash here, so it wasn't a complete match. We had to, unfortunately, switch platforms, but only bug of the tournament was this one. Okay. That's enough of that. Let's get on to the real matches. We swapped over to Tabletop Simulator for a sec. So, this is a double elimination, which means I get a second shot at victory. I'm in the lower bracket now, and who did I go against for this one? Warbin. So we're against Warbin. So we'll probably let these ones play through. Matches take around an hour. Depending on how quickly they go. Like, this time bank goes back and forth, but we have 10 seconds of grace period as well. So Warbin is playing Sylvan as well, but he's playing a different hero from me. He's playing Caladrix, which is a bit more of an aggressive hero. Now, one thing that Warbin plays, very first card, is Camouflage. So this is typically a counter card. I would probably hold on to this card until you see your opponent drafting more archers, because I could make a decision here where I don't draft my Bowmaster, I don't draft my Tethir Archer, and now there's a dead 2 gold on my opponent's side. Maybe you're like, okay, well, then you didn't draft Bowmaster. That's what the 2 gold did, but I don't know if that warrants drafting the 2 gold. I was definitely more awake for this match, so a bit more excited for this one. We're gonna lead with double bears. This is a solid start if you don't know what to draft. Oftentimes in the drafting period, you're looking to counter pick what your opponent's playing, right? So, like, if I were to play an archer here, then Warbin would draft his Camouflage. If Warbin drafted, like, a really tall, decked out Caladrix, I might draft a lot of roots to disable that, since he invested a lot of gold into it. But sometimes you just have to play cards, because your opponent doesn't give you anything to work with. So in this case, I just draft the bears. I think they're going to be pretty solid into Caladrix. Nice and sturdy. My options for frontline generally are either bears or Bull Elk, which is a 4/6/3 movement charger, but also has steadfast. So Bull Elk I find really strong when that steadfast is relevant. Like, Bull Elk's pretty good into probably the that Ultra Knight build that Nigat brought last time. Because the steadfast kind of does the same thing that the Treant does, but you've got also a 3 movement 4 power charger, which is a lot in this game. So now the Thorn Elemental gets drafted by Warbin, so this gives me a lot to work with on the draft. in terms of countering. He's also drafted an Archer, so now I need to think about how I'm going to counter this Thorn Elemental. Typically, Thorn Elemental is pretty slow, though. We can kind of bully it for a while, but I need to keep this in mind and at least have something to fight it with. And I think that's the decision here with the Silverglade Ranger. This thing, if he gets adjacent, when this guy attacks, he breaks the opponent, which disables his card text, essentially. And the Thorn Elemental has physical damage return, so doesn't feel great attacking that thing. And it also has spell proof. So this thing can't be rooted unless you attack it with some things. He also drafts an Enchantress. Now this is a card that I used to play a lot, but then it got nerfed. I think Enchantress is very difficult to use right now. So the idea with the Enchantress, thank you Past Moon for enlarging the card. Oh no, come back. The idea with the Enchantress is he's got 3 range Beguile, take control of a unit this round. Which obviously is pretty strong, but since it's got a limited range, all I had to do is stay out of range. Now in the past, this used to go beyond rounds, so you could, if this was the last, it was just next turn, so if this was the last action, you could Beguile a unit, and then on the next round, you get a free unit to use. And it's really clever with Sylvan units where you've got all these swaps, like the Deepwood Sentinel. So you can swap this into a sneaky position and then steal something for 1 turn. But in this, it's a little bit more difficult to use because your opponent can respond to it. And seeing that Deepwood Enchantress, this is also a very expensive gold investment. So I draft the Hippogriff Archer because this has charge and flying. Not going to get to it round 1, obviously, but this is a great setup for round 2 where I can put this in a position to threaten this. I gotta be careful about it, though, because I have to put this within 3 range if I want to target it. And that's the same range as Beguile, so gotta pay attention to who's going first on the round 2 if I actually want to do that. Warband drafts Centaur Guard. Centaur Guard's a really interesting card. This does the same thing as Deepwood Sentinel, but it's a little bit sturdier, and it's double the gold. And it's a little bit more powerful too, 3/4. And then it's got that armor 1 when being attacked. I typically like to use Centaur Guard as a counter pick to things. Like we saw in the last match, I ran it because I was thinking crossbowmen, but and this can be pretty decent into Sylvan. I mean, maybe you look at my list and say, okay, most of your list is just small little damage numbers anyways. I'm going to get some value out of this. Sure. Four-power chargers are often the core of some solid armies. Yeah. Yeah. If you're new to kind of learning the deep strategies of Legacy's Allure, there's a lot to learn here. But keeping track of power numbers and health numbers, it's very important to do. So what I mean by that is, if I have, so I've got this Ursa Major right now. It's got 4 power and charging. You have to be very careful about the 4 HP units you draft. This is especially true when you're counter-picking things. If your opponent, in Gath this comes up a lot, if your opponent's drafting a lot of 4 HP units, like they've got Warg Archer and Warg Rider, it might be a very good decision to draft something like Ursa Major or a Bull Elk, because that meets that 4 power threshold. But if your opponent doesn't draft 4 HP stuff, then it might be better to go for maybe a 3 damage charger like the Hippogriff. And there's a lot of nuances to that as well, of course. Like, the bears have additional abilities with Roar, so oftentimes you're not playing the bears to counter a specific HP threshold. That would be more so Bull Elk's job. But a lot of decisions to think about there. So, Caladrix drafted a few items here. Velocity Greaves and Bulwark Boots. So Velocity Greaves gives charging to the Caledrix, and Bulwark Boots gives Steadfast, which means I'm not going to be able to charge that Caledrix. So you'll notice here that I've picked Nature's Bosom and Arcane Stone, but I haven't picked my second ability yet. So I'm leaving open either Tranquility or Quicken. I've got 3 different abilities to pick from, and typically I only want to bring 2. But now that I see the Bulwark Boots, Tranquility might be good, because quite a bit of gold has been invested here now. We've got 10 gold already. And I might not actually... I don't know if I draft Bowmaster here, because again, Warbin started with the Camouflage, which means, hey, I don't need to draft Archers. I can just make that a dead 2 gold, and now I've already got an advantage, right? We'll see what I pick. I might pick like a Hippogriff Archer, because it's still pretty good. The Archers are pretty solid. Knowing when you're going first or second is pretty important too. Since Warbin is attacking, I have to be careful of where I place my Glade Hawks, because Warbin could put a Glade Hawk on B5, and then turn 1 just kill it, and then he takes an action from me, which is a very good trade. Even though we're trading 2 for 2, he can just take this, and that deletes an action from me, and actions are even the most important on round 1, because this lets you bully your opponent at the end of round. But he doesn't choose to go for it. He plays a 3/3 Hunter to fight my 2/2 Hunter. But information for me, I don't really mind so much if this 6 gold unit takes my 4 gold, because I could take that 6 gold unit back. Gotta be more careful about that as the middle of the round takes place, because if I don't have an answer to this, then I just lose my 4 gold unit for no reason. But I'm not worried about this right now. I play the Norfang Sorcerer. Some things on my opponent's side have spellproof. So like the Thorny Boy and the Deepwood Enchantress all have spellproof, which means this is not going to be able to target it. This is a disabler. But pretty decent to go for the Caledrix with this guy instead, since he's invested quite a little bit of gold into it. Seems worth it enough. Basically only have 2 win conditions in my list. Units which supply such free value when they can snowball into a 1 game, the Tethir Bowmaster and Hippogriff Archer. Notice that he typically does not take both, but he almost always takes at least 1. Yeah, so I've definitely built my list around the Bowmaster or the Hippogriff. Both are very strong cards. When you got really big units, also really big, but also, okay, I shouldn't say big. We'll say really expensive units, but they're very frail. And you can only protect so many units in a game. So the Bowmaster generally is exclusive, because he's a difficult one to protect. He's only got 3 HP. Hippogriff has 4 HP, but it's still pretty frail. 4 is, like, not a massive number. There's a lot of 4 damage chargers. But, and Hippogriff hits a little bit softer. He only does 2 damage on ranged, but does have 4 range. So similar in vein to the Bowmaster. If you're not expecting your opponent to rush, then the Hippogriff can be a little bit better. I find Bowmaster sometimes better if your opponent's a little bit more aggressive, because then they're a little bit timid to actually step in range, because you got that 4-power Bowmaster that can shoot stuff. But the Hippogriff's a little bit better for long range. Obviously Bowmaster can hit long range too, but why not just spend 10 gold on that than 14? So my opponent's drafting a lot of Hunters. These are a pretty decent counter to things like the Hippogriff, I would say, because Hippogriff has counter-strike, so these guys got backstab. They bypass the counter-strike, but they're also a little bit frail. Like, the biggest one is the 3/3, which the Hippogriff directly counters, so you need a little bit of something extra to hit this one. I'm drafting a full, all of my Glade Hawks. Reason being, my opponent drafted a lot of 1 HPs. We've got a Mystic in the back, Tethir Fletcher, 2 Glade Hawks, so thinking about 4. Oh, maybe I don't go for it here. 3 Glade Hawks is probably plenty for now. We'll just put a Norfang Hunter center. Yeah, I don't think I'm drafting any archers here. I mean, I've got a solid army without the archers. When I first started this game, I felt that 160 gold was a lot to work with, but it's actually not. There's so many different things that you want to counter. So 160 gold is actually pretty more restrictive than you might think. So I'm at 70 gold here. Gotta think about what I'm gonna spend the rest of my gold on. You notice I have 2 Deepwood Mystics in here, which Anwyn already is a healer. So a lot of people ask me why I have 2 Deepwood Mystics. Mainly it's to counter Warlock. Just because 4 gold counters the 5 gold. I think Warlock's one of the strongest cards in the game right now in Season 1. And I need something to fight that, so I have 2 Deepwood Mystics. Just to counter them. And we're going to draft a full board of Hunters. Since I'm not drafting my Archers, I do have to kind of rely on the rest of my deck, which is mainly just Hunters. I might have been able to get away with a Bull Elk, but I don't think Bull Elk serves much purpose here. Again, because of this threshold. Like, 4 power doesn't counter anything currently in my opponent's list. So there's no reason really to run the Bull Elk, unless I'm wanting Steadfast to protect against Caladrix, but it's pretty expensive just for Steadfast. Want to go back to 200 gold kingdoms? Triple healer is great. Problem with Warlock often comes with Spell Shock. Well, yeah, so the double Mystic is pretty specific. Oh, my voice is peaking a little bit. Let me lower this. It's pretty specific. Like, I won't always run double Mystic into a bunch of Warlocks. Like, Rat's List, for example, where he's super aggressive, he has a lot of 1/1 puppies. I don't want to run too many into that because those 1/1s threaten all of my 1 HP stuff. But in maybe a more gentler list, I would run double Mystic. Probably not into Spell Shock though as well. Because Spell Shock, but I'm not as worried about Carthel, I would say. I haven't found that to be too big an issue. Sentinels have so much HP to soak up the stats. Okay, we're ready to start. So, you'll notice that I have 2 more actions than my opponent, plus 1 from the Anwyn actually, and then since my opponent is going first, he loses another action, because he has to take the first action. So I have quite a few more actions than my opponent, which makes me very happy. This first turn swap doesn't do a whole lot. It seems like he wants to go for the shield here. But nothing threatening so far, so I get to kind of set up a play that I might think is threatening. Yeah, I like 160 gold as well. I think it's a perfect number. Like, even though I say you're restrictive, I mean that in a good way. You have a good amount of restriction. So you actually have a list that feels like an archetype. Like my list is Archers, Bowmaster, even though I'm not playing it here. But we have that sideboard potential to swap game plans if we're getting maybe countered. So usually on these first few turns, I like to play pretty proactive generally. I think the standard is like passing units in the back. I like to play proactive. Generally, it's best to play proactive when you're down on actions, because whoever has the majority of actions, is going to get to bully you at the end of the round, right? So if they get to bully you, then you have to kind of try and take some trades early, because your opponent's just going to pass. They don't care. You got to come to them. But I moved this Glade Hawk here. Another thing I like doing too, in terms of proactive plays, sure, there's some units that I might be passing in the eventually, like this Taunting Satyr's not going to get any use this round, right? So I could theoretically pass this, but one thing that I really like to do is wait on these passing plays until the end of round. Because remember, whoever takes the last real action, your opponent gets to go first. So passing becomes very powerful at the end of round, so I like to save those units for that. Yeah, and the Thorny Boy comes center, but I prepared my counter. I'm just gonna line it up for round 2. And this thing seems pretty safe. You have to be very careful against Sylvan when they've got Deepwood Sentinel, but since one was tapped, I know that there's no shenanigans coming. But my opponent has to consider that I've got 2 swaps open, which means this extends the range of like all of my units, the threat range at least. It extends it by 1 on every single unit, which is a huge amount to play around. Yeah, so this Silverglade Ranger is pretty safe. You'll notice Caladrix doesn't have Blade Echo, or Blacko, as Dex likes to call it. Is Silverglade Ranger really actually good? Always felt like a weird suit of Vesuvian Disruptor. The worst card in the game. I would say Vesuvian Disruptor, probably worst card in the game. Silverglade Ranger, in my opinion, is an A tier card. It's very good, and one of the only defenses you have against Aaron Guards. You'll see actually, there's a play in a later round against Nigat where this thing gets a ton of use. I think Silverglade Ranger is super strong. He's a melee unit, so you have to get him in range, but what he provides is so much, and the 5 HP is pretty sturdy. Oh right, there was an extra swap. I missed this one, but yeah, he has now used the second swap. If I wanted to, I could chase down this Thorn Elemental by using my own swap and just chase him down, but I don't need to invest this. Like, the Thorn Elemental's a really slow unit. I'm super happy just using the Silverglade to hit this. I get to break it, which removes the armor. Now the Deepwood's Enchantress has moved, didn't use the Untouchable, which is interesting. I think you had an opportunity to use it here. But I don't know, where do you put it is a question. Now, the Silverglade Ranger has spellproof, so it cannot be targeted by Beguile. So basically I just want to keep the rest of my units out of range, more or less. Not the end of the world if I put... I mean, yeah, I don't really want to put the bears in range. I could put something in range like a Glade Hawk and be fine with that, because my opponent only has 2 uses out of Beguile for the entire game, and they don't want to waste it on a Glade Hawk. Wonder what threshold is worth using Beguile, because this is an 11 gold unit. It is a 1/3 Archer, which is worth something. But surely Glade Hawk's not worth it. Maybe a Hunter is worth it. You steal a 4 gold unit. The thing is, it's got backstab, so you might be able to kill another thing. Maybe you kill another Hunter, but that's it. I don't know. My opponent, also interestingly enough, has Light Chainmail. This is a very expensive Caladrix. What's that, 13 gold? 13 gold, and the only threat it's providing right now is 3 damage charging with backstab. Which I'm not too concerned about. He can do some tricky things though. If he might be able to bully me a little bit, and then if I'm not careful about watching out for those bulwark boots, I can't do anything to him. But Bear Roars come in clutch often. I'm thinking about this turn a little bit. There's a lot of options here. I don't want to go into the center, so I probably want to sneak some things around the side. But where to start? And how proactive do I want to be? I'm even considering skipping here. No idea why he's not taking Blackout 3 here. Yeah, we stacked a lot on the Caladrix. I ran a full board pretty much. Blackout's a good choice, I would say. Which does, when he attacks, it does 3 damage to, in like an arc. So it's AoE. What did I do? I did end up passing the Glade Hawk. I put 1 Glade Hawk out here as bait, but you don't want to put too many baits out because you can't handle all of those baits. But now I will swap up my Griffin to threaten the 2/2. Because this is pretty reasonable. My opponent doesn't have too many answers to this. The only answer is sending Caladrix, like if I take this. He has to send Caladrix back here to take it, because he doesn't have the damage numbers currently. And this means that his Caladrix is in the back corner. I don't have to deal with this 13 gold unit for round 2. Which is worth quite a bit. Because this also means I could extend on right side a little bit better, even though this would be like a 7 for 4 gold trade. But I hope to take the action. Realistically, I hope that I can tap this 2/2 out. Because then I just deal with this, and that allows me to maybe do something else. Another great targeting spot with this is that it's 4 range away from the Deepwood Enchantress. I mentioned that I wanted to take this to fight Enchantress, but again, it's really tricky to move in 3 range. Realistically, I could even just stay here, and maybe round 2, once this guy taps out, we can move this. Oh, and so the Caladrix comes in and actually just backstabs. Straight up just backstabs me. And I'm like, okay, let's just heal that up. We'll do a heal and a shield to boost it back to 4 HP because my opponent does have 3 damage here. So if I don't give that shield, there's a potential trade. And I want this Hippogriff to stay active this turn if possible. Interesting that he attacked this though, because now that he's adjacent, the Steadfast doesn't matter for my Hippogriff. Don't currently have an answer, but if I wanted to, with this 4 HP now too, I could just hit it. Line up a kill for next turn maybe. Oh, I remember what I was thinking here actually. So there's so much flexibility in Sylvan. So I'm actually eyeing a kill on this Caladrix. We'll see if you guys can spot it. It's a little bit difficult to see. But there is a potential kill on Caladrix this turn, even though he does have Steadfast. It's a little bit tough to set up, but maybe I'll let you guys think about that one, because it will come up in this round 1. I'm going to spend my next few turns setting that up. Which feels pretty worth it for a 3 gold unit. Sorry, 13 gold unit. Interesting puzzle, yeah. And obviously it's not a solved puzzle, because there's a lot of things my opponent could do that might change my decision. Maybe it ends up not being worth taking that Caladrix, but I can certainly set some things up to try. And I'm allowed to do things, bullying things, because I have so many more actions than my opponent. Actually, this might have been the reason that I actually gave the shields, because I wanted 4 HP to kill this. Because I think end of the day, like sure, if Glade Hawk sacked itself in there and I only had like 2 HP remaining after, I could just run away, I guess. I don't know. I think the 4 HP is just nice and sturdy. Does quite a few things. Oh, and then he breaks me. Which I'm like, what? So breaking basically removes Counter-Strike and it removes flying. So I can't fly over top of this Caladrix anymore. But I don't quite know what that accomplishes. I mean, I just ate a 2 gold unit. Does this do something? Because this has backstab anyways, so Counter-Strike doesn't trigger. So I'm not entirely sure. So I moved my Hunter over here, just giving another bait. I think having like baits in a similar area is a lot easier to control. I was mentioning you don't want to put too many baits out, but maybe that goes for just opposite sides of the board. In this position, I have a lot of control over what my opponent's doing. He's got 2 units only that can really do stuff. I guess the Glade Hawk can come in too, but we have the same number of hunters that we can fight back with. Ah, you discovered it. Only the biggest brains of Sylvan can see. Yeah, we got there. Ah, you're on the right path. What happened there? Neat little thing, we have a history log over here when you're in the client that you can look back on what your opponent's last few moves were. I'm going to invest a Trank. Potentially. Thinking about it. Now, I gave this as a bait, but I mean, if I can let this live, then it's pretty solid. If I just get this standing here and it survives to round 2. Actually, I think I'm thinking of going even harder. Yeah, we're going even harder. Because this does something. Now I'm threatening Glade Hawk to take. So my opponent is going to have to use an action healing, and then I'm going to trank this more aggressive Hunter. And then this does a second thing where now he doesn't want to move his 3/3, or suddenly his healer is threatened by my 2/2. So a very cool move, I think. A little bit risky, though. But I like to play risky. I'm a risky player. So he does go for the heal, and I'm going to respond with Trank. And now we get an even more aggressive Hunter. Actually, I was considering tranking this one, too. There's an option. It's debatable. But I think I end up going for the 2/2, because I'm like, I want that 3/3 to move. He can't really move anyways. Mostly like blocks, but yeah, we're gonna trank that. I'm asking that 3/3 to come at me. Yeah, and a big reason that it works also is my opponent doesn't have any roots right now, so he can't stop anything that I want to do. I'm free! I'm a free Sylvan player. So getting down to the end of round 1, this is when real decisions have to be made, because we have very limited actions left to work with. And I still have a lot of actions, so if Morbin wants to take some trades, pretty likely I'm going to have answers to take them back. It just depends what he values more. I still have a route open as well if I want it. Just going to pass the archer. I'm going to step the bear. The bear into a little bit more threatening position. There's a reason I moved here, which you'll see later. I had two potential other places to move, but I don't want to step adjacent to the Thorn Elemental. That's Silverglade's job. He's comfortable next to him. Bear, not so much. Glade Hawk has now moved. So if I wanted to... Oh, right. I forgot that charging was disabled off this guy. That was what the break did. So I can no longer charge either, the 2-2. But I don't really care. We're looking to snipe that Caladrix. So I have to make a move here. And unfortunately, I need my left side to stay open. Would have loved to have the 3-3 stay open to fight these guys and threaten these guys, but I want to keep my swap open. Glade Hawk I want to keep open to fight his Glade Hawk. I guess I want to keep this open because this is the position. Don't want to put my 3-3 there. So all of these units kind of have to stay open. Ursa Major's just a big hitter. Represents the big threat. So, what are Warbin's decisions to make here? This archer is kind of stuck. He can't really do too much. These hunters have evasion. Well, this guy's got trank anyways, but if he wanted to attack a non-tranked one, it's got evasion, so he... 0 power when attacking. Glade Hawk is going to move in, so I think I can respond here now by just Glade Hawking his guy. Actually, I don't have to, because now the play is open. So we swap the Norfang Sorcerer, and this puts me in breaking range of that Caladrix, which allows me to actually charge it with the Glade Hawk. Which I think was a clever play. Because not only does it take out the 13 gold Caladrix, but it also puts my Hippogriff Archer in trade range of the Norfang Enchantress, which is what I wanted. That was the purpose that I drafted this. He gets to gobble a free unit and threaten. That's huge. Now, of course, he can be beguiled, but I can deal with that. We can manage. So the 2-2 moves in. I don't need to take anything right now. We have the play that we wanted to take, so we're just going to break that. $13 gold. Crazy. So this deletes the steadfast. It also deletes the armor. Also deletes the camouflage. If that was relevant. And there's nothing you can do about it. Because my Glade Hawk's got flying. Can't even block with the Hunter. Archer can move. I like these little sparkles that you added to tell when it's your turn. That's clean. Yeah, so I think I might as well just hit with the Glade Hawk here. Since that 3-3 is still open, there's no need to do anything on right side. Doesn't matter too much, but... I'm not going to use the Glade Hawk because... Yeah, okay, this makes sense. The Ursa is not really doing anything this turn, so I might as well use the Ursa to take the 1-1, and then the Glade Hawk can move into a more threatening position to threaten these 1 HP things. So I think this is going to be the plan with the Glade Hawk. Even though it makes sense to take the 1-1, Ursa's not doing anything. We'll just do that. This brings a position where he could backstab me now, but I don't think he wants to do that, and I'm pretty happy taking a 3/3. I'll take 3 damage on my bear to take him. But another thing I could have thought about is doing this play first opens up an opportunity where I could now pass. Actually, it puts pressure on my opponent. If I do this, and then I hit with the Hippogriff, my opponent almost has to pass. Because if he doesn't pass, and I get to go first, then I get to snipe the Enchantress. And who cares what he does to my right side? I just took his hero and the Enchantress, so I think it was more intelligent to set up my Glade Hawk play first. Yeah, we'll do it now, I guess. See what that 3/3 does. Because he actually wasn't able to move this 3/3 then, and I could have bullied him even harder. Because this would be 1 action ago that this would have happened. The Hunter stabs the Hippogriff, so he's under threat of dying next round. But is he really? Because this is the only target that can be beguiled also, so it's not even really that big a threat that he's now at 2 HP. Okay, so he passes the 3/3. Now I get to do what I want. So we'll just eat this, even though it puts me in range. It's a free unit, and if my opponent does take this, I can just take it back. And then we can move the Glade Hawk into an aggressive position. I really want to threaten that healer too, so this is what I'm thinking of. This does put him in range of the Archer, but he has to spend an action to do this, and Warbin's got a lot on his plate right now to deal with. So I don't think it's too bad playing in range of the Archer. And honestly, I'm probably pretty happy. If he spends an action archering this Glade Hawk, that means I get to take his 3/3. Or Enchantress or something, right? So this is why I'm pretty comfortable just moving this guy in range, threaten that healer. It's the biggest thing that I could take with that Glade Hawk. These types of plays are only possible in chess-like games like this, where your opponent only gets 1 turn, so you can actually put your stuff in danger because of that. So what does my opponent do here? Really limited options, honestly. Because I think Enchantress is the #1 thing he's got to be concerned about. Because this is a big gold investment, and if he does anything with this, his 3/3's dead. Which is so huge. Decides not to beguile, just takes it. Fine by me. I'll take your 3/3 in exchange. So I suppose here now this could get sniped. Nothing else is really hanging. Oh, sorry. Right, I forgot. I put this aggressive 2/2 here to threaten the healer as well. That was the whole idea with the Trank play. So that healer's dead pretty much no matter what he does. Could beguile the 2/2, but I mean, it's pretty sad beguile. The 2/2 doesn't really hit anything. And he doesn't take any retaliate damage either. You'd beguile the small hunter? Does it do anything? Why did he take Camouflage? So Camouflage was the first card drafted. The reason that he drafted Camouflage is he looked at my list and he saw Bowmaster. He knows that I play Bowmaster probably. And he saw the small, Hippogriff Archer. But I looked at his first card drafted and I'm like, I don't have to draft archers. You can't tell me what to do. Yeah, so that happened. I go for this, which gives him a heal opportunity. I feel like I could have just killed this. Yeah, I don't know what this does, to be honest. I think I was just supposed to kill this. Now he can actually protect it. So this was a strange move. Saves... It saves the healer and can do 2 damage elsewhere. It doesn't save the healer, though, because my Glade Hawk was still open, right? Because I don't think I care what this 2-2 does when he's beguiled. He has to use it next turn, so I'm just attacking with the Glade Hawk. He does need something, though. I mean, I'm probably not going to give him too many more beguile opportunities. That was one. There is a 3-3 in range now. But that's the beauty of having Tranquility. If he does beguile anything, I just trank it. And I don't even have to spend the extra mana, too, because it comes back under my control next turn. So if he heals it, then yeah. So, actually decides to move the Centaur Guard. I think that was incorrect. We had the healer under threat. We could have just spent an action healing it. Oh, right, it was still... Yeah, I guess it was still dying to, like, the bear, but I don't know. I think I would have just healed it. Because he is broken now. Wait. How did he swap? Oh, sorry. Break is... You need to silence maneuver. Yeah, you can still maneuver. Okay, we'll take the healer now. I think I might have been debating trying to line up a kill on the Deepwood Enchantress for the next round. Or like maybe moves the healer and I go... I don't know. The healer just seems like the correct one to take. But, yeah, okay, game's pretty well over now, I would say. I took out his big Caladrix, the Enchantress, probably not getting too much value. This guy's a nice steal if he can get it. Got tunnel vision. This game's very easy to tunnel vision. We still have a kill on that that guy at some point. Oh, but we're gonna go for the Thorn Elemental, alright? Yeah, the Thorn Elemental takes funny, I guess. Maybe. I've got this Archer here that I can shoot him with. And then he reduces to 4 HP. And then I take it. But it does put my Ursa Major in range of the Enchantress. No it doesn't, because we can swap him away. Right. And once again, I can also just trank anything that he beguiles. Yeah, honestly, I think Enchantress isn't great anymore. I think it's even more unplayable against Anwyn because of trank. There's a lot of strategies that are just unplayable because of this card. So he's gonna eat that. Being able to avoid tunnel vision is the hardest skill the game has. It's a lot of different rabbit holes you can go down in terms of thinking about what strategies to use. And having an open information game makes it... Like, there's just so many paths you can go down. I mean, similar to chess, but obviously there's more options in this game. You get all this card text to worry about. So Enchantress, making this hex untargetable, so now I can no longer enter this hex to attack it. A little bit of a technical rule, but when you do melee attack, you have to move into the hex, attack it. If it doesn't kill, you move back to your starting hex. Or the attack, the hex you started the attack from, I should say. So Ursa Minor taking this 3/3 is actually pretty good now, I would say. It gets him close to the Enchantress, but I probably have no units around him for the bear to hit into anything, so it's pretty solid. This is the other thing too, you could put a big unit in range of the Enchantress as long as none of your other friendly units are around it. Oh, I'm actually just gonna take that. I might be trying to line up a tricky play with the Glade Hawk. I mean, the 2-2 honestly is more threatening anyways. Maybe... Oh? I haven't decided yet. Yeah, I think taking the 2-2 is more correct. Even though we worked to get that break, this unit doesn't do too much if there's no support. So we're probably just going to try to swap our Glade Hawk up to kill his soon-to-be tapped Glade Hawk. This looks brain-meltingly complex. Hey, last 8. It's a pretty complex game, but I've loved it. This is my second favorite game right now next to Feria. Sorry, Keith. It takes a lot out of you. Like, especially if you're playing competitive and both players are like pretty evenly skilled. It takes a lot, like one match takes a lot. But it's so much fun. So I'm passing now. I think the swap's pretty solid. Right now, the Enchantress is targeting the bear, but with the swap, this lets me... Oh, maybe I don't care. Okay, I was thinking I could move the Sentinel away so the bear is not actually threatening anything, but maybe I just don't care. Beguile is that bad. That's pretty sad. That makes me feel for Enchantress. Yeah, I think the Trank is just too good against that. I don't even need to care. Yeah, so I have 4 actions over my opponent's 1, so now I get to take the last few turns bullying. So Glade Hawk gets a free trade when this is tapped. I probably don't want to... I don't know, what else do I want to do here? Not too much else I want to do. Oh, I take the Glade Hawk first because if he does decide to take this, I pass and I get to go first. And then I get to take his Enchantress because my 3/3 is threatening. Right. So I can just take the Glade Hawk here and say... and just taunt this guy. He takes it! Oh, he doesn't see it. And now I full... oh, no. Yep. Alright. Full pass. Bye-bye, Enchantress. Yeah, I don't think he saw that play. I got him. Fall for the bluff. Easier than it looks. That is true. I will say it is easier than it looks if you're coming from other games, and it's very overwhelming at the start. I'll say that. Very overwhelming when you first pick up the game because there's a lot to look at. But once you learn what all the cards do, that's the biggest thing. Once you learn what all the cards do, and you kind of learn some of the typical setups and typical moves, similar to chess, you learn openings. That's not too bad. Depends if you're into war games. Yeah, I will say I'm not a war game player. I mean, I really do like chess, I guess, but apart from chess, I'm not really a war game player. I loved this. Okay, so game obviously over, so we could jump ahead. So this was the lower bracket. If I lose Remember, I lose the whole series, so I got one more shot. Okay. Oh, the next one's Negat. So we get the rematch against Negat here, who beat me in the first round. So I'm a little bit scared about this one going into it. Ultra Knight, I mean, again, I drafted pretty poorly the first one, but this is a really difficult matchup. Typically I'm more scared of, I'm even more scared of Aurelia, because she can fly over top and threaten all of my 3 HP backline. But the Triple Knight and the Ultra Knight, a lot of scary units that I have a tough time disabling. In the first round, I goofed. I thought that I could Taunting Satyr the Ultra Knight, and he can't. He's got card text saying he can't be exhausted by enemies. And then I backpedaled, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll Trank it instead. And then I realized you can't Trank an Ultra Knight either. So, a little bit better prepared this match, hopefully. This is what I like to start with Sylvan. When you don't have very much information from your opponent, you don't know what you want to counter with. These guys are solid to stand in the pockets. They're out of threat range of knights immediately, and they have the opportunities to send your own units forwards. So now I'm drafting Wisps. I planned this draft out before the match, and I planned to just do all of the break and roots that I had in my kingdom. That was the plan. Now Negat has 3 priests in his kingdom, but I think my removals are a lot more efficient than a 5 gold priest, because Fletcher is 3 gold. I just realized this is probably the first opportunity we're going to get to see the Bowmaster in action. Like that first round, sure, but I don't know. I kind of want to write that first one off. So the Bowmaster, I didn't draft Tethir Fletcher in the first round, which, I don't know, is one of the whole points to running the Bowmaster. You get that 4 range, and then you get to trigger the Fletcher's abilities. So Fletcher can do a few things. He can either root the opponent when you attack, when you ranged attack. He's got piercing, so he pierces through armor, or he's got a net shot, or what's it called? Is it net shot? No, net shot, hook shot. Yeah, so you can hook shot, which pulls a unit towards the archer that attacked. In the past, you used to be able to stack Fletchers, so you could pull and root. That was nerfed. So but the pull is still very strong. It's just you don't want to use the pull until the opponent actually taps the unit, because otherwise you're gonna pull in a, like, you don't want to pull in a Ultra Knight that is untapped and now he suddenly is at your face. So Negat is going for the double priest. I think I don't care. I'm just gonna stack all of my roots and breaks. A lot of 1 HP units, though, for Negat, so this incentivizes Glade Hawk. Does run a lot of shield bearers, though, too. I think he has, like, 4 or 5 shield bearers in the list. So we are going to draft Wisps, and I'm planning for mostly full boards. So we're going to draft those Wisps in the corner. They might not get use on round 1, but we can fly them up for future use. Actually, they might get use, because we're playing against, like, knight things, and he wants to go aggressive. He's going to be playing in range of these. So corners is not a bad spot. Hope there's a get over here sound effect. So backline gives, typically backline will get drafted first because these are the safest spaces. And I'm the attacker here, so I get first move, so he's got to be careful on how he drafts his front line. And I am actually putting a Glade Hawk on the front line. So, reason I am doing this. Oftentimes you put like sturdy units on the front line so they can tank hits. Sylvan doesn't have sturdy units. At least they don't have many. So, the alternative to putting sturdy units on the front line is putting the cheapest possible units on the front line. So that it's less incentivizing for a knight to actually capture this. Because you have a... wait, how much are knights? 8 gold? 9 gold? 8 gold? Yeah, you have a 8 gold taking the 2 gold. Well, now you're at my base, and I can just kill that 8 gold. And you only got the 2 gold Glade Hawk out of it in an action. So pretty reasonable. Now Niget plays another 1 HP, but in trade range of the Glade Hawk, which is crazy. Because I am going first, so my first turn is probably locked in here. We get a free take. 2 gold for 2 gold, but we get to steal an action, which is pretty big in round 1. Especially against knights. So because that move is locked in, I probably want to be a little bit careful with how I draft the rest of my front line. I don't want to give my opponent any turn 2 plays, because I want this to be turn 1. Depends what happens. But so many 1 HPs. I'm thinking about it a little bit. I've pretty much thought up the draft that I wanted. We're going to draft full hunters. It kind of depends on what my opponent does though too, I guess. Because my opponent could change plans. So we don't have to draft everything. Hunters are great because of crossbowmen. They only deal 1 damage to exhausted ones. And 0 damage if they're unexhausted. So hunters are a great option. They're less value for knights to take. And Niget had like 4 of them in the first match. You don't have to draft so many crossbowmen if I'm drafting a ton of hunters, but crossbowmen's such a good unit, it's just good to draft anyways. Love full hunters. Hunters are good units. They get 1 shot by knights though, sadly. But that's what Nature's Bosom's for. We can shield at least 1 thing. Okay, we'll play through the draft a little bit. Niget is a thinker. Okay, so he puts the knight here, which I'm pretty happy with. I mean, I don't really care too much because I know this Glade Hawk's not going to stand here. And I draft the Sorcerer in the center. I want this Sorcerer to be able to target anything it likes. It's got a 3 range break, right? Which is actually pretty limited. I don't want this thing to step up aggressively if I can help it. Because then it's vulnerable to crossbowmen. So the idea with the Sorcerer in the center here is so that he can stay nice and safe in the back and still be able to break something. I'm not concerned about roots because he's got healers, right? So because there's so many healers, rooting is probably not going to happen. But one thing that could happen is the healers get tapped in the later stages of the round, his knights are in my face, and I can threaten a break. At the very least, this means that Niget has to keep his healers untapped. So there's 2 scenarios there. If I go for a break, he gets to spend one of his first actions healing, which is pretty good. Remember, like, so many people like to just pass with their first starting actions so that they get to the end of the round with their best units. But if I can force the healer to stay untapped by not rooting and just saving it for the break, then that's pretty good. Niget's kind of effectively 1 action, 1 impactful action down for a good chunk of the round 1. Thinking of drafting the Bowmaster now. I realistically would love to wait on the Bowmaster to see what Negat drafts, and maybe we can put Bowmaster on the side that he puts a thing on, but Bowmaster's pretty expensive. Sometimes you just have to draft it. You don't have the flexibility of putting it on a specific side. I'm also thinking about, I just counted there, the 4 range that the knight could get from the Tactician. Tactician's a little bit far away though, so we will have to spend at least an action or 2 clearing up the space so that he can actually Tactician buff this, so I'm safe for now, but I want to be careful. Like, this guy can just come take my Sentinel and now he's adjacent to the Bowmaster if I activate him too soon. You want to force your opponent to use the units that get their value from throwing their body at you early, because then you get to kill their body. If you let them do it later on, their unit probably gets to live. Yeah, exactly. Negats go here. Oh, another reason I wanted to put Sorcerer here was because Pegasus. Pegasus is a pretty good counter to this card. Now, I could put him on the back still here, but this allows him to maybe put Pegasus on H2, threaten to give it a movement buff, and still target that guy. But I would prefer Pegasus be drafted on one of these 2 center spaces, because this makes my opponent's front line a little bit weaker, rather than having 2 sturdy units there, like knights or something. And then I have a lot of ways to protect this, of course, like I can shield it or something, but... or I could just use it. If the Pegasus gets a movement buff, it's probably not the end of the world to just send it and root something, maybe. I do want to save that for a break, though. +1 movement Pegasus shattered your morale versus Chris. Can always draft a Ranger in opposition to the Pegasus because you are the attacker. He has first move, so he can kill the Pegasus before... Yeah, Great Hunter. Yeah. So, yeah, depending on how the draft goes, if Negat... I need to be careful about that, though. If Negat, like, keeps gold open... for that Pegasus, and he keeps the space open, I might want to keep this space open so that I can draft a Hunter to counter it. Because again, I'm going first, and yeah, I do want to take this first action, but I mean, I'll take a Pegasus first action instead. That's solid. Another thing too, this guy's kind of locked in here. Maybe his first move can just be the Glade Hawk takes. Negat drafts another 1 HP unit, which is crazy. And actually, he put this in trade range of Glade Hawk again. And that's a more valuable unit than the Apprentice Wizard, so I'm going to take that. This does make my front line weaker, so I want to make sure that I can protect this a little bit. Part of what I prepared for a little bit, I was kind of thinking about the whole knight matchup, and I realized grouping Anwyn and Bowmaster is really bad. Because if Ultra Knight comes in, he can very easily fork both Anwyn and Bowmaster. Another reason why I wanted to put the Sorcerer here instead. So this makes it so if an Ultra Knight were to come, he has to pick a side, and then he only threatens 1 unit, and I can protect that 1 unit. I can't protect both units if they're open, so I wanted to split these sides a little bit. That was the idea there. Another thing I did in this tournament also is drafting a small hero. Trank looks very good, in a lot of matchups. But it's so difficult to actually trank knights effectively because they have multiple of them. And so trank often is just... it just protects their own knight for a little while. Maybe you can protect your unit, but it's really difficult to make work. It also puts a target on Anwyn's back because you've invested a little bit more gold into her. You have to spend an extra like 5 for Arcane Stone, Trank, Nature's Bosom. So this draft, I opted to just go for Nature's Bosom. No Trank. And this keeps her nice and cheap, which makes her not such a big target, but still super threatening with that Nature's Bosom. And so I am planning out my future draft where I know that Glade Hawk's going to go here. I don't want to show my opponent that it's going here, though. But I'm already starting to patch up this bad front line that's about to happen by putting the Silverglade Ranger here. Another thing I'm thinking with this is I can protect my right side with the swap. If this knight comes in, takes whatever's here, I can swap and then threaten it. Left side's taken care of because I've got Bowmaster here, so if knight decides to come up, I've got 4 power plus piercing to fight it with. So Ranger looks pretty solid here. And this leaves me with 15 gold left. So Glade Hawk is actually going to be one of those cards, though. Nigat drafts a 3rd knight, so now this means no Ultra Knight. I was keeping tabs on this gold count, and I'm like predicting the Ultra Knight, and what I wanted to do was place a Bull Elk adjacent, or not adjacent, across from the Ultra Knight. But that doesn't happen. No Ultra Knight is possible. Which makes me happy, because Ultra Knight's a tough one to deal with. Maybe he's gonna get 4 knights. I can only get 3. That's okay. Can deal with that. So that Glade Hawk comes down. We get a free kill on the Tactician. I think Nigat didn't draft super well this time. Just because of these 2 units he just played in Glade Hawk range. But wasn't thinking about it, I guess. Nigat has 1 unit left. I mean, he can play some equipment, maybe. Because he's got to place Tristan here, so he's only got 1 slot available. So I can think about this a little bit. I think it's just going to be Bull Elk. Because Bull Elk's pretty solid into this with the Steadfast and the big power threat. Big power is also good because you only hit once rather than hitting a bunch of little times, so yeah, we'll dump the Bull Elk center. I know that Nigat only has 1 Tactician to work with, so one thing that could happen is this knight gets... sorry, that can't happen because my Glade Hawk's in the way. So I've got time to patch up this side if he wants to give movement to this knight. I've got a little bit of time. Still thinking about it, but I think Bull Elk's just the play. I don't know what else is worth drafting here. Also, not many crossbowmen drafted from Nigat. Drafted a huge amount of support, but no 4 crossbowmen this time. Crossbowmen's so good. I was debating maybe Hippogriff so I could get another action, because Hippogriff doesn't have Steadfast, but he doesn't like knights don't particularly want to hit into it. But yeah, we'll just get the Bull Elk there. Glade Hawk, and then we take a Buckler, which is actually pretty solid, because since Ultra Knight wasn't drafted, his only aggressive units now are the Knights, so if Anwyn has a Buckler, it just makes it that much more difficult to kill her. Even though I said she's a pretty low value target, it is 1 gold to make Nigat's life more difficult. So we're gonna get a 2 gold... a 2 gold hero here. A lot of people liked Arrest. I remember we had a discussion about this recently, like people really liking Arrest. I think Arrest is very specific. This can sometimes be dead gold if you don't get in the right position. I think Niget has the build to use it though, where he can, especially like Tristan's gonna come on D2 here. He could come up Shield Bash, and then now he's adjacent to the Bull Elk. And he's got a lot of different items to stack on that Tristan as well, including Braveheart, which gives him +1 power against 6 HP units. But I only have one 6 HP unit. Ultra Knights, I am immune to your hero's whole thing passive also hurts. Yeah. Rest is an endgame win con. In your opinion, that can also stop early onset aggression. Not the best in the early game. Yeah, that's fair. I like, what I like about Arrest, like, it gives +1 action, so if you can get super aggressive in your opponent's face and shield bash something and safely have a Tristan planted down next to something, that Arrest is just a +1 action, which is super cool. So, he drafted Broadsword and Braveheart. The Madman. So this targets two things. My Bull Elk he can one-shot now, only if he's adjacent, and my Silverglade Ranger he can one-shot too. A little bit scary, but Tristan's slow, so not too concerned about it yet, but I gotta keep an eye on that, and especially keep an eye on when Tristan's still active and not move my Bull Elk in too close, otherwise he can come up adjacent, and then now I've got a full pass if I want to save my Bull Elk. But yeah, first round, first turn, first round, we get that Tactician Snipe, easy, and Nigad's feeling forced to use that Apprentice Wizard, which is fair. Get it out of the way, give that -1 power. Oh, he drafted another Apprentice Wizard in trade range. Even crazier. And I don't think he had to do that either. He could have swapped these two units, put the Tristan here, so I don't know what the thought process was there. Because this Diminish would have saved his second Apprentice Wizard. So I don't really... Yeah, I don't understand why he did this. Tristan's safe to the Bull Elk because he's got Steadfast, so it doesn't really matter. The Knight is the one that goes back and takes the Glade Hawk, which I'm so happy to see, because this means that it's just another one of these Knights I don't have to deal with this round, which is huge. Glade Hawk I'm going to move because he's technically under threat of the Knight. Again, it's not really valuable for Nigat to take this, but I might as well reposition him a little bit. We're going to patch up that weak front line, I guess. Great thing about this Knight take too, this Tactician can't move here anymore, and he can't buff this Knight. So my right side is actually pretty safe, even though it's looking weak. And Nigat Tactician buffs the Longbow Archer. Also a little bit crazy. This threatens the Glade Hawk, but that's a Tactician buff down. No longer can give movement to Knights and make them look super scary. And I can even protect this Glade Hawk with a maneuver. Which is what I'm going to do. I'm probably not going to move too much stuff up. And this allows me to keep patching this broken hole that I made for myself. And I get to save the Glade Hawk too. This match was actually... there was some cool plays with the Ranger. We'll see a little bit later. So now nothing's in danger anymore. Can take a little bit of a breath. Longbow Archer eats the Glade Hawk, but that Tactician buff was wasted now. Don't want to say wasted because it did force me to use my movement trick. Yeah, join the LA Discord if you want the Steam beta key. Yeah, I mentioned in the beginning, this is the digital client for Legacy's Allure. It's not publicly available yet, but I think Keith's willing to give anyone who wants a key for Steam. Just join the Legacy's Allure Discord. Feel free to post a link to that if you want. Okay, what did Niga do here? He just passed his apprentice wizard in the corner, okay. This might be an opportunity where we can pass. Oh, I passed my Wisp as well. I want to be a little bit careful with these ones, because these are nice break threats if the knights decide to step up, but the knights aren't threatening anything right now. Not a big concern. And again, I got the Bowmaster on this left side protecting. On right side, it's a nice answer to if the knight steps too close. We're threatening 5 damage here. Assuming the priests can't heal, of course. So what is the move to make here? This is where you can get very tunnel visioned and not know what to do because you don't want to make a move and then your opponent responds to it and kills all your board. So this is where players typically like to pass stuff, but yeah, like I said, kind of want to keep this Wisp up a little bit longer to threaten the knight. It might not end up happening, but one thing I'm thinking about here is just tossing a shield because nothing's going to need healing this game. My opponent one-shots most things. Well, I shouldn't say nothing, like crossbowmen can hit stuff, but this round at least nothing's gonna need healing. So I'm gonna go for a Nature's Bosom and I think protect the Bowmaster just to set that up for the future because once those knights get in here, I don't want to have to deal with protecting this Bowmaster. I was debating shielding one of my Great Hunters. Well, I guess this one's the only one in range. Shielding the Great Hunter would allow me to step him up aggressively, comfortably, and not care about getting one-shot, so this was something I was thinking of, but I was like, I don't know what round 2 is going to look like, I'm just going to protect the Bowmaster and be safe. I think if I was confident, I think the shield on the 3-3 would have been better, but this was fine. Another thing you'll notice that I did was I gave +1 action to Anwyn here. With only one ability. You're not allowed to use Nature's Bosom twice, but you can still use her special ability to +1 action. And I felt that that was super important on round 1. Now I don't have Arcane Stone, so this eats up 2 mana, which is pretty harsh, but I felt the +1 action was very important on this first round so that I could threaten these knights some more. That extra action is just going to let me probably kill one if he's not careful and steps too close. I'm probably not going to do this for the rest of the game though. We do this on round 1, but I want that 3 mana available to Nature's Bosom. And heal stuff or shield stuff. So Niged taking some passive plays, just shielding some stuff. Now I pass my Anwyn, she's literally there for an action. No Nature's Bosom available anymore. And Niged just gonna pass stuff. And I'm pretty cool if Niged just keeps passing stuff. Currently I'm ahead on gold. Oh, you guys can't see that, but yeah, Tactician's dead and Apprentice Wizard's dead. So 6 gold to my 4 gold. And I can probably slowly step up if Niged just decides to not do anything. I've realized that right side probably not going to get a trade on the knight, so maybe I just want to push my hunters around. But I don't think I'm too certain about it yet. Okay, we're going to send the hunter to the center. This threatens some stuff. It does allow the knight to come in now, and the knight can position itself where he can threaten this and still be pretty safe. But I think my plan has shifted a little bit, seeing how passive Niget's going and seeing that now he's only got 2 knights in threat of nothing. So I think I'm thinking about getting a little bit aggressive, because if I also go passive... Actually, do I win if I also go passive? Maybe I do. Because I do have hook shot. I can pull anything off the center, but... I don't know. I would rather be a tiny bit aggressive. Like, similar to chess, you want to put your units... You want to advance your units to put them in more threatening positions. Like, as long as my guys aren't under threat... we take some ground here. I'm also eyeing up this left side where the Apprentice Wizard's sitting. I can take this end of round if I've got more actions. Okay, the Enforcer slowly steps up. We're going to plug some holes and slowly build up a wall here. My opponent's letting me do what we want, so we're going to build a formation. Wisp's now more aggressive, out of the corner, can threaten a lot of stuff, can even threaten that back knight. And breaking also removes charging, so this is a good clutch move for some point in the mid game. Halfway through your time, halfway through round 1, yes. There's a lot of setup time. Round 1, there's a lot of decisions to make. Nobody wants to make a mistake here, because mistakes can snowball. Yeah, I was always kind of hoping for a little bit more time bank. Like, I always found I just needed a tiny little bit more time bank in Season 1. But I think this will be squared up in the second season when that comes out. Okay, so Shield Bearer shields the Tristan. Niget wanting to protect that Tristan, doesn't want him to get broken and then 2-shot. I sidestepped the 2-2. I have to pick... I've already decided that my right side is not going to be pushing up aggressive this turn, so I'll focus on passing out this right side first. Keep my left side open to still be able to threaten stuff. And similar to all you Feria players, the investment in a particular side is important to pay attention to. Because right side can't really do anything to left side, and vice versa. So Niget moved up this knight, which is very cool. Because now, I get to step my Silverglade Ranger in range. Now, I have to wait until the next round to actually hit this, and of course Niget could do something with this knight, move it around, but this threat means that Niget has to deal with this, and this means I could set up a second threat somewhere else on the board. Right, so he has an option to maybe take this 2-2, or the 3-3, but I've got so much stuff protecting, and if he does nothing with this knight, I'm just hitting it. And I'm fine if he takes... this guy can also just follow, because we do have a swap available. Lots of things that knight is under threat of, actually. We've got the Bowmaster back here, still in range. All of my hunters are in range. So I think the idea with this, Niget's trying to kind of sneak around back and flank with the knight, but Silverglade Ranger is providing a big threat here. And the Ranger itself, not threatened at all. This Enforcer can disarm a unit, but not spellproof units. And the crossbowman decided to pass, so he's stuck. Niga pulls back the Tristan, going for a very defensive setup, which makes me want to push the gas even harder. Now this Bull Elk's very fun. We're actually going to make use of the Steadfast here. Because, yeah, I don't really care too much if he takes this 3-3, we can fight it back. He does have a lot of healers to heal it with, though. But I would rather him not take this. I'd rather incentivize him to take the 2-2 maybe more so. So I'm thinking about moving this Bull Elk over to F4. But maybe we'll snipe in action here first. Thinking about it. There's some options. Keeping the Bull Elk open is nice to maybe fight this, or not fight, but threaten the Knight so he doesn't want to step up. He's got 2 healers still open, so I want to be careful about that. We're just going to snipe the shield bearer. This takes away an action, which is a big deal. And there's not a lot that this Bowmaster is going to be shooting this turn. Sure, I could shoot this thing for 2, but he's just going to heal it. So why bother? We'll take an action. Another thing that I could think about is I've got 1 swap available. I could, as pieces move around, swap this Bowmaster up, maybe snipe the 1-2 instead. But this guy also is not very threatening. He's only currently targeting the evasion guy. Probably the Bull Elk too. A huge piece of fighting Sylvan is paying attention to their swaps. Yes, the sheer quantity of their movement checks is crazy. They will typically have double, quadruple the number of move checks as the opponent. Yeah, so you always have to consider that all of my units in range of this have +1 threat range, which is so much to worry about. And when you have 2 Sentinels, that makes it even more difficult because some units could get +2 threat range and just go anywhere on the board. So I just passed the Fletcher here. Didn't get any use this turn, didn't need to use its abilities, that's fine. Yeah, I really want to move the Bull Elk here, but if I move the Bull Elk now, this Knight can safely step up. Not safely, but I mean, I don't have a kill on the Knight right now. But we're just going to move it. This gives me the option to potentially pass. And I gave myself a lot of flexibility with that earlier shield that I placed on the Bowmaster, right? Because now I don't have to plug this if I don't want to. I mean, I might as well, but like, if Niga were to step this Knight into threat range of the Bowmaster, doesn't matter. But yeah, we're making use of that Steadfast here, so the Knight can't target the 3-3 anymore. He gets all tapped out. I don't care if he gets first action. He can't do anything super threatening. So we'll take the Apprentice Wizard like we wanted to. Obviously, this is in threat range of the Knight, but remember, we set up another threat over here. So he has a decision to make, and whichever decision he makes, we get to take the opposite play. And really, the Knight can only go for the 2-2, which isn't big value. And I actually go more aggressive and take the center shield with the Sentinel, which I think was cute. Because now we get a 4 HP guy here, playing out of that threshold of the 3 damage. Yeah, this is another thing to consider. If you, probably less so in Sylvan, but if you had like a lot of maybe more 4 HP creatures in your list, you could reasonably run like more 4 HP creatures into Nigat's list once you see triple Knight coming down. Because they're just barely safe. And one-shotting is a big deal in Legacy's Allure. Because you don't counter-attack if you one-shot. So, a lot to worry about on Nigad's side. Yeah, and there's this threatening to take the crossbowman, which would be huge, because this 4 gold unit took a 2 gold. If I can nab a 3 gold as well, and that action too, it's pretty big. But if this knight decides to take the 2/2, now this knight is out of range of everything. It's something I don't have to deal with right now. And that's often something I like to think about in as I'm making my plays is... what did he do? He disarmed. So we get to take this hit and break him. Huge. And he steps in range of the Silverglade Ranger, so we can hit back. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, if this guy gets taken out of the fight, something I like to think about is how much gold's worth is actually in a fight. So like if this knight is out of the fight, then on round 3, I only have to deal with however many gold is over on this side. Suddenly my opponent's army is 8 gold weaker for round 3 specifically. Which is worth thinking about, because this means you can kind of, like with more pieces, more gold's worth of value, you can threaten more things, means your opponent can't step into range of things, and you can take your ground and take more advantages that way. So this is something I like to think about. One reason that I don't like the Thorn Elemental is because it's 12 gold of value for a late game win condition. It does nothing in the first few rounds, and so that's your army is 12 gold weaker to make up for a better late game maybe, but a lot of this game, there's big snowballs in the early game, right? Okay, so we managed to get a slap here, he healed it off, and we broke it again. I brought a lot of breaks this time around. My Bull Elk is disarmed, which means he doesn't counterattack. So I gotta be careful about this a little bit. If the knight decides he could just hit it and not take any retaliate damage. So I probably want to heal this eventually. Oh, there he goes, running away. This guy's still broken though. He had the option to heal it, but he's still broken. And now we get to take this crossbowman. So one of the reasons also I broke here instead of taking this trade is because I knew this would force a heal. And like if I went for the crossbowman, then the knight can do something else. I might as well just do this to force the heal. He doesn't want to lose an 8 gold unit and only gain a 4 gold unit. So that hunter did good work. And this was all because of planning around round 2, setting up multiple threats so that our opponent's actions are kind of pressured. They can't comfortably take something like this hunter. Even though it looked like I only got 2 gold value for the 4 golds, we ended up netting ourselves even more. Just from, I guess setting up forks is what you would call it. So this knight is still under threat. Once we remove the disarm, we also have an option to swap a 3/3 up to threaten. But now the archer sniped our shield, so we are under threat of this knight coming in. But do I care? I don't know. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. If I find a reasonable move with this guy this round, I might as well take it, because this could just take an action. But yeah, I don't think I'm caring too much. We're just going to remove the debuff. Not going to +1 action, not going to give a shield. We only have 2 mana left, so we have to be a bit conservative. We don't have Arcane Stone, so we can't just burn mana. And that removal forces the heal. But both healers are tapped now. So I think I've probably find something clever to take this guy out. I want to make use of this break that is still active on him. Okay, we'll just move the Sentinel out of the way. Don't want to give him that, I guess. Don't think it matters too much. Not so many options left for Niget. He still has the Tactician open, so we could plus on movement and threaten one of these 3/3s. And I can't protect them both in one go. Ooh! I zoom in with the Glade Hawk, since he is broken, and the Glade Hawk was in range. So instead of saving the Glade Hawk for all these 1 HPs, I decide to actually just threaten the kill with the Bull Elk. He's broken. I can take it one shot, but I have to be extremely careful when I do this. And actually, I think Niget makes a play to make it more obvious. I don't know if I particularly agree with Niget's play. It was okay, maybe. We'll see in a sec. Well, anyways, I have to pay careful attention to where this Tristan's going, right? Because he can one-shot my Bull Elk. That is something that's been in the back of my mind for a while. Technically, he could move to this space to set up and threaten my Bull Elk, so yeah, I do gotta be a little bit careful. Let's see what Niget does. He just passes with a shield bearer, okay. He wants to lure me in. So, free knight is free knight. We'll take it. Not many actions left for Niget, and he gives pathing to the Tristan, so he can move past this longbow and set up next to the Bull Elk. So, but this is a 2-turn setup, so now I need to be careful because I know that I 100% need to go first next round, otherwise that Bull Elk's dead. If Niget moves here, and I have set myself up where I need to take another move or something, the Bull Elk's dying, so I want to be very careful with my next few plays. I'm probably just going to start... I don't have to pass things right now, right? Because Niget has to use a move to move. So I can use an action here, but I probably only get one action. So I got to pick which one action I want to use. And I decide to go for a swap, which does something neat. It puts the Bowmaster in threat range of where that Tristan's going. So it gives me options for next turn where... maybe next turn I could use the Bull Elk if I go first. Or I could instead shoot Tristan and root him. And then he can't hit. He can still arrest though. But it just gives me more options. And then it also threatens the longbow. If I move the Bull Elk also, I could choose to root Tristan after if he doesn't move him. Niget decides to skip, so I get one more action that I get to use. I think the best action here is probably to shoot the Archer. We can't do any setup plays, right? So we can't do like a break on the knight and try and threaten it or something. If that were even possible, or try and threaten the Enforcer. So we only get one moves here. We're gonna take another action from our opponent. Longbow Archer doesn't threaten a lot, but it represents an action. I'll take it. This allows the knight to move up, maybe, because Bowmaster's tapped. But I'm kind of expecting this. Like, I know that I'm gonna be full passing as soon as Tristan moves. So if he sets up a trade on my one of my 3/3s for next round, I can't stop that anyways, so I'm not gonna pretend like I can. Niget makes another move, still hasn't moved Tristan, so I get yet another action to do something. So what is my next important action? Yeah, we're gonna send the 2/2 up, super aggressive in his face, to threaten some stuff. Actually, this is a multi-turn. I'm thinking like 2 turns in advance here, so I know what's happening on round 3, Tristan comes here. My first move, I want to move this Bull Elk. Best move here, with this positioning, I get to take the crossbowmen, and since I've got allied pathing, now I get to take my pick on one of these two units. I suppose I can still target the shield bearer here, but yeah, we can go there. Okay, so Tristan's moved. We got a full pass now. But that knight moves into the corner, which, man, that hunter did so much. Not only did it take 6 gold worth of value, but it also tapped down this knight for an additional round. Right? Because he's completely out of the fight, so that's 8 gold out of the fight. Sets up the knight to threaten the 3-3, but I want that Bull Elk out of there. Get away from that Tristan. And yeah, I think the best move is just to take crossbowmen here. I kind of had some second thoughts. I'm like, maybe I could take the tactician. I also wanted to be able to threaten this Tristan. Maybe pull him like a hook shot. But yeah, I think just crossbowman takes pretty solid. If he moves, you could shoot, pull, break, double hunter, kill Tristan. True. Right, we did move to this position, so we could pull. Yeah, that's a good catch. Because we still had a lot of actions open, we could have pulled. Could I have done it that round, actually? Did I have the option to? Maybe I did. Did I miss something? I think this Wisp was still open. Or was it? I don't remember. Well, anyways. We'll take the crossbowmen. Threaten the back line with stuff. My 3-3 could be taken, but I don't really care. I've got so much stuff protecting. And all that's left on Nigad's side is a lot of support. That's not all. We got 2 knights, I guess. 2 knights in Tristan, that's pretty beefy. Chooses to disarm the 2-2. Okay, so that's not bad. This protects the Enforcer from me melee hitting it once again. So... Okay, so we'll just, I think I'm debating removing the debuff here. Shielding is cool, but one thing I'm worried about with that is that he can come up shield bash and then still threaten with the knight anyways. Oh, interesting. I actually just go for a hit. Ah, right. So I went for this hit because this guy's protected. If he decides to take this, my Silverglade Ranger is covering this space. Does not want to take this. So similar to in chess where your units are what do you call it? Like your units are threatened by your other pieces, so your opponent can't take because you start doing a trade wars. If your opponent comes ahead, that's not a good play. So similar case here, if Nigad takes this, his knight's probably dead, because my Silverglade Ranger's here. And this is so cool to me, how chess mechanics are coming up in Legacy's Allure. I think the game, I mean obviously the game strategies haven't been explored a ton yet, with a smaller player base, but I'm really excited to see what comes out of all of this. Okay, so the knight gets +1 movement, which means our guy is threatened over here. I'm debating rooting, but do I win this war? Where he just gets to heal it? I don't care, maybe. Yeah, I think I go for the break here instead, because this removes charging. Not really a huge point to rooting. I mean, sure, it lets the knight reposition, but if I break, this allows my Bowmaster to threaten with some more damage. And I could potentially pull him in the future and then hit, and that break is going to go a lot further than the read. Two healers here to use, and I can't really keep up with that, but this play builds a defensive position here. I might even try to start building a wall up here to protect my guy and keep him still unexhausted. Only have 1 mana left. I'm not that sad if this dies. But Nigad decides to move up the knight just 1 space, so still actually not threatening anything. But he's a little bit scared to step up too much because then he's in trade range, especially this Bowmaster, which now has quite a bit of threat range with that earlier swap. Still have both of my swaps available. Yeah, okay, so we're just gonna build a wall, protect our 3/3. This removes any possibility of me swapping this 3/3 more aggressively now. I could do it on the left side, but I figure Nigad still has quite a few actions. I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to safely push this guy up. Even if the knight does something or gets tapped down, we're in threat of shield bash. Okay, debuff removed. But now I'm not super concerned. We're relatively safe. My 3/3 is protected. So thinking about moving this Wisp into a spot where I could break something in the future, we'll move it here. Though this knight is in trade range of something now. I kind of gave it to him, but I think this move's pretty solid just to protect. I want to keep that 3/3 open. We have more actions, so it's important we keep our threatening actions open. Limited things to do now. I do still have Nature's Bosom. So yeah, I'm hovering that disarm. Probably what I'm going to pick is just remove the disarm. I wanted some flexibility on what to do. Like, the shield was an option to protect it against the knights. But I like removing the debuff. This threatens an action. And not a huge amount that Nigad can do about it. Because ideally I'm probably taking the 1/1. And the knight. Okay, so yeah, he moves up the Apprentice Wizard, and now the knight is in trade range if I decide to take any one of these guys. But don't know if I care too much. We might move this other swap. I don't think we're going to have a use for this swap. Currently, there's not enough locations for this to swap anything relevant, so I think we're just going to reposition it for now. I could think about end of round swapping this guy up to threaten, but it doesn't really provide a threat if I'm not going to get a kill, because then my own guy's threatened. Another thing to think about for the end of round is there's a lot of action happening here over on the right. There's still the threats, once again, of Tristan stepping adjacent to the Bull Elk, so I have to make sure that I get first action, potentially. Actually, I think Nigad has a decent move here of just going over and standing next to Bull Elk, and this stops this Hunter from doing anything. And then it additionally provides a threat of this Enforcer being able to take it, but he moves the Shield Bearer instead. This was a bit confusing. I thought he wanted the Tristan next to the Bull Elk, but decides to body block his own Tristan, and we will take this trade. Don't care too much if the knight takes it, whatever. So 3 actions left. Yeah, I mean, Tristan would have been way better over on this side too, because he's out of range of Bowmaster and all of this stuff that's threatening. And just once again threatens that Bull Elk. Sure, I could run away again, but you force me to take an action like this, and then you get to do something. Actually, he could have locked this guy in. I'm now realizing, because my Hunter was here. So if he put Tristan here, I can't even run. That would have been a dead Bull Elk. Oh my god, missed opportunity. Yeah, that was I think that was a free Bull Elk. I don't know what I would have been able to do to stop that. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. Interesting. Okay, maybe Nigat will rewatch this and feel sad. So I'm pretty sure that's a dead Bull Elk. I guess... Yeah, because I can't take any actions, or then he just passes and then he kills it. Interesting. Would that have been enough? I don't know. Honestly, don't think so. Really, all Nigat has left is 2 knights, and I still have my Bowmaster, and Bowmaster can deal with this Tristan late game if I manage to kill these 2 knights. Then Tristan, I can just save my Tethir Fletcher and pull him off the center on round 7. But didn't go for it, so I get to claim right side now. Got a lot of pressure here. Thinking about rooting. I think I might as well kill this Enforcer, honestly, before it gets healed, because we have piercing. That seems pretty solid. Like, the knight would get to come up maybe safely, and not really safely though. Yeah, somewhat semi-safely maybe. Okay, I decide to break. Oh, I remember what I was thinking here. So this is a really cool play. Wait, is it? Oh. Oh, that's why Tristan didn't come here. No, that doesn't work. Okay, well, I remember I was trying to set up a pull on the Tristan to get him next to my Silverglade Ranger so I could hit him. It would have worked in this position, I guess. Okay, so it looks like we are just gonna kill the Enforcer. Nigat decided not to heal it, so didn't get time for that. Nigat takes the last move, so I have the option to go first if I want it. I don't know what going first does for me, though. I guess I could read something, but he's still got 2 healers open. So I think what I'm going to do instead is just take my actions, move things in more threatening positions. Going first on the following round is often pretty good, but another thing to consider is if your opponent goes first, they get 1 less action in the game, right? Okay, so I'm going to move the Silverglade Ranger now to protect my Sentinel. Can't be attacked, and since Tristan is here, he's body blocking the knight from being able to... Oh right, he's got 3 movement anyways, so this is no longer under threat anyways. So we reposition the Ranger to protect. And then we'll pass. Though Nigat only has 1 minute left on his clock. Probably not enough time to think. But he is going to drain that clock and think anyways. If he finds a strategy, you do have that 10-second grace period, so you can keep passing. And not keep passing, just keep taking actions in 10 seconds. Unlike in Tabletop Simulator where you have to micromanage anything, it's a lot easier here. You just choose where you want your creature to go. Game will handle the rest. But he's really draining that clock. Thinking about it hard. Moves the priest. So no healer this turn. He wanted to move it out of range of my stuff. But no healer this turn, that means. I move the Sentinel. Yeah, just out of trade range of the knight. Even though my ranger is protecting that, I just figure I'll move it anyways. And Tristan, where are you going? Tristan just running away. I think Nigat's out of thinking time now. He's kind of just gotta click buttons and hope for the best. But, yeah, 5 seconds left. Oh, his time boosted. He went back to 8. Cheating. Okay, so 4 movements. Now my guys are threatened. I don't care. I think if he takes this, then I have still a swap open, so I can swap the Silverglade Ranger in close and hit. Bull Elk can take. Bull Elk moves up. I'm so confident I don't even decide to steadfast. I don't know why I didn't. I think I might as well have. But Niga's just gonna run to the corner now. Which is fine by me. I have still that pull shot. So I don't really need to care too much. Okay. We'll fill in that hole with Sentinel. I mean, at this point, I can kind of play around, and Niga's gonna run out of time bank, I think. So do you get some time back when you make plays? That's interesting. I know Cards and Castles does this, where when you make plays, you get some time back. We break the Tristan. Now that the healer's tapped, we break the Tristan. What's the plan with that? We got the Bowmaster in range. Right. We're gonna... Yeah, okay. This was the play where I was thinking of hookshotting Tristan in close, and then I just double hits with the 3/3s. Would that even work? There's no space. But Nigad blocks with the knight, and I'm just gonna kill it. Hookshot! So this hookshot's funny because I could have like piercinged or something, but I need to take with the 3/3. And he's in trade range of the knight, so the hookshot allows me to keep my unit safely out of knight trade range, which is neat. Neat that hookshot can do that. We'll step up the Silverglade Ranger to threaten that knight. And that means he's gotta probably move his knight, or we get to take some stuff. And I'm probably gonna end up like killing priests. Cards and Castles mentioned. He didn't get any time back, he just took his moves under 10 seconds. If he regained time, it was a desync. He definitely regained time, because I've been watching this ticker. 2 seconds. Didn't gain it there, okay. So he moved his priest out of the way. We'll break. This removes charging, so he can't charge my 3/3. Removes the debuff. I think I might break him again. Or not care. Okay, we're gonna patch the hole. I don't think it mattered too much, but I probably could have just broken it. I can do it now. The Tactician buff used. We can just break. Remove charging once again. Ah. Opt to root instead. I guess the knight's not really threatening anything right now with +1 power. We whack the Silverglade Ranger. Fine by me, we'll take that knight back. Because I was thinking of healing it, but then I realized, what does he actually have that hurts this in any way? Like, Shield Bash doesn't affect it. He'd have to step the Apprentice Wizard adjacent to even threaten this. So, and then this, if he's ever adjacent to it, one-shots. So there's not even a purpose in healing this. But yeah, this game obviously looks won now, so we will move on here. I think Nigat runs out of time anyways at some point. But yeah, we won the rematch. I did prepare a little bit for this one, because I was like, okay, I can't lose to Nigat again. The first one was pretty bad. And Airguard's a pretty tough matchup, so I think the preparation was warranted. But this was a cool match. Well played to Nigat. I liked what the Ranger did this game. It did a lot of protecting and a lot of whacking. So, next opponent I just played today, which was Rat. One thing you have to pay attention to, I want to mention also, if you're like winning, make sure you take Centaur as the attacker, so I think the game will pass out and then you'll lose. Yeah, anyways, Nigat ran out of time. Okay. Next match, we're against Rat. Rat and his speedy Argog list. And immediately when I enter the game, he's already got his items drafted. I don't know how he managed. Every time I have the victory screen, or the starting game screen come up, and I can't click buttons, and I lose time bank for that. Okay, so in this draft, I'm going for Deepwood Mystic. I kind of know Rat's build already, so I can kind of play with this a little bit. Okay, we go Bears instead, fine. We draft the Bears. One thing I like about Bears, so Rat invests a lot into his Argog. Is a very expensive hero, but he's got 4 movement, charging, the Kite Shield, and then an Omni Slash. And often he runs Inner Vitality as well on top of that. So Tranquility is pretty good against that, just to disable the Argog, and then that's like a huge amount of gold out of the fight for a while. But he's still got that Omni Slash to worry about, which deals damage to everything around him when he activates it. So he could still, even if he's tranked, move into a space that threatens the Omni Slash. So the Bears are nice to be able to roar it away. In this draft, I had somewhat of a plan. My idea was to put Anwyn in the corner, because Rat always opens with these triple Warlocks in the exact same position, which makes it pretty easy to kind of play around. Silence is pretty brutal on Anwyn, because you can delete 2 whole actions from her and some powerful abilities. So I wanted to put Anwyn in the corner so that these guys just can't hit her with silence. And Trank is global range, so I don't really need to care the positioning of Anwyn. The only thing that I need to care about is Nature's Bosom. But this is likely going to be shielding stuff in round 1. So I can just have something within 4 range of the corner be shielded. And instead we'll put the Deepwood Mystic center. So I mentioned earlier, I have 2 Mystics in the list to counter Warlocks, because Warlocks cost 5 gold, Mystic costs 4, so it's a cheaper counter. Against Rat's list though, he likes to run the Spike Color Hound, so I don't like running 2 Mystics. He runs Spike Color Hound and Goblin Archer, and he's very aggressive. So it's likely that I'm not going to be able to protect 2 Mystics very well to all of these tiny things coming at me. So we just go for 1 Mystic in this game. He did draft the Inner Vitality 2, so this heals... I think this heals by like 3, which is a lot of healing. Heals Argog by 3 at the start of his turn. I put a Norfang Hunter center because I know these Warlocks are going to be stepping pretty aggressively to root things. So this puts him in trade range already. And once again, 4 gold to counter 5. I think I probably should have put another Hunter on D1 or F1 for the same reasons. But I don't think I did that. Puts the Spike Color Hound there. I'm going to put a Glade Hawk here to try and counter. This isn't the best counter because Spike Color Hound has Counter Strike, so when the Glade Hawk actually attacks it, he dies. We do steal an action, but what's really nice usually, like when I took that Apprentice Wizard earlier, is we take the Apprentice Wizard, takes an action, but then they also have to spend another action killing the Glade Hawk. In this case, with the Poppy, he just kills the Glade Hawk. So it's a slightly less value. Also plays the Goblin Archer to try and fight this Glade Hawk. So I want to set up a Norfang Hunter to fight this. I think a better position would have been D1 though, because yeah, this would also threaten the Warlock space, and it would still threaten the Goblin Archer, doing 2 jobs. For 2 OP. Okay, so thinking about playing more Glade Hawks into this because we got 1 HP, 1 HP, 1 HP, 1 HP, which is a lot. I can probably get away with like 3 Glade Hawks this match. We'll stack them on the same side. I think because I'm just thinking Goblin Archer takes this one, we still have 1 set up. Rat actually plays another one, so this gives me the opportunity to, like, if he kills 1 first turn, I get to kill the second one. I like that. So what I'm thinking about here, Tethir Archer is something on my mind. Now there's like even more 1 HP things, right? The Glade Hawk's cool, but Tethir Archer can also just shoot things, especially into the puppies. This is a bad placement though. I think my thought process was, if Dragon Hatchling comes up, we can have a threat to counter it. Or worst case, I could shield this. I was thinking of putting Anwyn in this corner. But I think Rat has a pretty good counterplay to this. Definitely making this a little bit of a weaker link. Good to look at what units your opponent has so you're not getting killed in the draft. One thing that is on my mind is Crag Wyvern. I noticed he did have a Crag Wyvern. And if I want to play Bowmaster, I can't safely put it on these spaces until a front space is drafted. Because otherwise, he's going first, Crag Wyvern can swoop in and kill the Bowmaster. And survive the counter-strike. Thinking about... Oh. Wow, I almost did this. Into Crag Wyvern? Oh no, maybe I wasn't thinking about it. I don't think I do this play though, because otherwise, yeah, Rat would have just auto-played the Crag Wyvern, and I would have been very sad. I don't have very much gold left, so this is a bit tricky. Probably don't want the... So my thought process here is silence the Dragon Hatchling to protect this. And my Sorcerer is still nice and safe because I only need to step him up once. Not nice and safe, but relatively safe. So silence was the idea, but I'm not happy with the number of actions that this leaves me with. Rat has his build figured out. He plays this list exclusively, and he goes 18 actions all the time. I don't think he changes too much in his build. So I need to make sure that I'm at least coming close to matching those actions. So Sorcerer probably not the play, unfortunately. Want to do the Bowmaster anyways, and this leaves me with 8 gold left. We can pass for now, see what he plays. See what he plays and where he plays. Even if players have their draft figured out, like what units they want to bring, still the positioning is very important to consider. So with 8 gold left, I've drafted 3 out of my 4 hunters. I could draft another Norfang Great Hunter plus a 2 gold. Which gives me another fighter on board. I could do something like... I could do another Deepwood Mystic, but... maybe. Since I kind of know what's going to happen in the earlier round here, like Glade Hawks are going to trade off with Spike Collars, but this Archer is a problem, and he's going to threaten a second Mystic here. I don't know, maybe a second Mystic was okay though. As long as I keep the 2/2 open to threaten, it's okay. The Warlocks are super brutal. The root and burn is a lot to deal with, especially on those bears. Rat's thinking a little bit about this one. I also don't want to play my Anwyn yet because I want Rat to fill in these frontal spots first so that I can safely tuck Anwyn here, and then he's not going to draft Argog same side to fight. So I want to kind of bait him a little bit into that. Still have this spot that is most likely Anwyn's location. Skip forward ahead a little bit. So he drafts 2 of these more 1 HP units, so I'm going to draft another Glade Hawk. This one I think was a bit of a miss by Rat, because this just gives me a free hit. Maybe he could put a Goblin Archer there, but I think I'm okay with that. There's a lot of stuff happening on the first couple turns, a lot of things under threat already. So I draft that Glade Hawk, which means I still have the opportunity to play the 6-cost Hunter. I could go for Mystic plus another 2 gold, and then that gives me some more actions to work with. which is pretty good. Plays another 1 HP unit. And now he's got 6 gold left, so I'm just checking to see what else he can play. Probably it's going to be a warg. And I realize Warg Rider here is pretty devastating, because if my plan is to shield this, Warg Rider does not care. So... yeah, I think it's either Mystic plus, did we draft other Glade Hawks? No. I guess technically I have a 4th Glade Hawk. I could draft a 4th Glade Hawk and a Deepwood Mystic, and that would be okay. Great Hunter's fine too. I don't think Wisp gets any value. Nothing worth breaking. Argog's abilities specifically say they cannot be broken, so unfortunately, break isn't really useful. Yeah, I am thinking of playing the Glade Hawk. Really? I thought I went for a Hunter here. Maybe I changed my mind. I am hovering that Deepwood Mystic. I think it's a fine play. Okay. Oh, I did play the Glade Hawk. Interesting. I think I play another 3 gold here. So yeah, the Warg Rider's drafted, and this is actually pretty brutal. I think this was a big mistake on my part. The Archer's okay, drafted later in the game, where maybe a Warg Rider isn't drafted here. But here it's just threatened by the Dragon Hatchling. If I shield it, it's threatened by the Warg Rider. It's pretty bad. So Anwyn goes in the corner. Then we have 4 gold to decide on. And yeah, I think I am going to go for a Sentinel. Sentinel a little sturdier than the Mystic, but I think I like Mystic. I don't know. That was debatable. But I think the whole thing that's going on in this right side, I'm pretty sure I can defend that second Mystic pretty reasonably. Which means that I counter those Warlocks efficiently, so yeah, I think second Mystic, I think I prefer. We can deal with this right side. So Rad's first move, he takes with Spike Collar. I think one thing I was thinking about is this Sentinel can just take this, and we'll take the counter strike. My first move, I'm going to root that guy. A little bit risky. This uses up my Fletcher for the turn. To get that root off, but I felt it was necessary because, yeah, this guy is just really threatening even if I shield. Rat decides to pass, so I'm going to take a free action. I think Rat wanted to pass with this guy. Maybe he didn't see this one, but this didn't make sense. So we'll just trade things around a little bit. And Nature's Bosom to protect against the Dragon Hatchling. Right now I don't mind too much if he comes up and we can trade with 3/3, but I mind a little bit, because this thing can still be healed in the future. Okay, so we'll shield it, protect it from the Dragon Hatchling. Yeah, I think also the idea with the Archer actually means we're taking out these Spike Color Hounds, so the second Mystic should be safe. Okay, all threats managed. Don't have to worry anymore. Yet. Well, except Argog. This 1/1 I might decide to take with the 2/2 even, because this has backstab, doesn't take the counterstrike. If I do take with the Sentinel, he's vulnerable to Archer, because now he's on 2 HP. Just gonna take it this turn. Okay, fair enough. This was being kept open to threaten this guy, but I mean, the Glade Hawk here is dead anyways. Probably Rat's not gonna move this Goblin Archer forwards in time for me to kill it, so sure, we'll just take it. He's nice and safe here. I need you to either win super fast or lose super fast. Made a mistake here, didn't exhaust the lackey. Yeah, okay. The Work Rider was really hard to justify into the knowledge that you knew it was getting rooted. That's fair, but I think this forces the root, and that's really good for you because my Fletcher's tapped now. Okay, so first guy comes out, silences. Yeah, this is why I think the Hunter would have been probably better here. Accomplishes the same task, threatens the Warlock. And Glade Hawk's not doing anything this turn. He could have just been in the back. Just to give more options. Would I have taken this? Maybe not. But it gives more options. Thinking about just dumping the Trank here. I don't like using Trank super early, because not always do you want to Trank Argog. Sometimes there's no targets for him to hit anyways that are worth it. So sometimes it's better to save that Trank for a friendly unit. Like, for example, maybe I want to take this Warlock with the bear and then Trank it so that he's up in my opponent's face and he's not going to die. Just as an example. Probably wouldn't do that exactly. I at least like the positioning of where my stuff is. Like maybe minus some smaller things there. But the Anwyn is on the opposite corner of the Argog. Bowmaster pretty much is as well. Well, okay, not really. He can come in. Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. Bowmaster, maybe not so much, but Anwyn's on the opposite corner of the Argog, so she should be safe for a little while. Actually, why didn't I use the swap to save this? Don't remember what happens later on. I feel like, because I could swap and then move the 2/3, and now the Warg Rider's not threatening anything. We'll see what happens. I was thinking about actually doing that play where maybe I take center, I roar this guy, and then I Trank. I don't know. Move the Mystic. I think this one doesn't make sense, probably. I think I was thinking of the Argog moving in and just threatening all of this stuff, so I didn't want my Mystic in the mix. But this is a little bit vulnerable to Puppy stepping up. I don't have any disables left. No roots. I was debating at one point drafting double Fletchers, but I was like, this Tethir Archer is probably gonna die. So maybe it's not worth the double. But the double was another option so that I could double root something, and that puts pressure on the healer. And I don't think you can silence. Oh, you could probably overheat this, actually. Yeah, I think that works. His other ability, Overheat, silences a unit, but it also makes it so they can't be buffed. And so that disables the Fletcher. Man, Warlock's so good. Okay, so I come in with the Hunter before he gets rooted. I don't have healing left because I chose to shield. This was... I think this was just so bad. This whole thing with the Archer on this side. I used the shield, which means I don't have a debuff anymore. The whole purpose of the corner was that I can't get silenced. I could have saved this to counter heal the Warlock. Yeah, I think probably I didn't need to shield this right away. Dragon Hatchling, I think I can manage. Doesn't really matter if he takes. But anyways. Rat gave me this for some reason. He moved that guy up in range. So I'll take it. And it's a little bit challenging for him to deal with that Glade Hawk too. Like, probably wants to use that Dragon Hatchling to go somewhere. This guy's rooted, and if he ever gets removed, then he wants to take this. I guess Hellbear's fine. I don't know. These are big units. Having a watch party in the Discord and both saw the Overheat Bowmaster at the same time. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. Yeah, makes me more certain that the double Mystic might have been better. But again, it's debatable. Like these, if I can't deal with these, Mystic's a huge detriment. So it really depends on confidence levels, I guess. But the Goblin Archer repositions to here. Now invested, we can kind of protect this. I could pass the bear, but I want to keep him up so that he's got roar available. If Argog decides to move in somewhere, I want to be able to roar the Argog away. A little bit difficult if the Argog comes here on E2 though. I can't really roar anywhere. For a similar reason, I want to keep the swap open. So I can swap my Bowmaster away. But that Warg Rider actually causing a lot of threats. And the investment of the shield means I can't invest the shield here. And so when this inevitably gets removed, that 3/3 or that 3 power charger can provide a threat on Bowmaster. Argog is going to provide a threat there. And now he's forked. So, choke point of this game, I think, was this H2 square. A lot of bad stuff happening there. So the buff or the debuff's removed. But I can still save this with the swap. I think I just wanted to keep the swap open to save Bowmaster. I think... Do I have more actions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I do have more actions, so... Worst case, I could just move this Tethir Bowmaster after Argog makes his move and maybe move him to a safe location. There's probably a way to defend. But I think I was wanting to protect this Tethir Archer. I also decided to trank the bear. I guess I was concerned with this coming up, shooting it, and then Argog taking it. And there's nothing I can do about that, I guess. I could have tranked the Archer as well. That's a potential... I used the Glade Hawk to clear the Hound, just to get that action out of the way so I don't have to deal with it later. Oh, which I don't know if it matters too much. It wasn't really threatening anything that turn. Oh, I was thinking about this. If Argog gets an Omni Slash, threaten on the bear, then the 1/1 kills it. And I have to deal with that. A lot of great positions for Argog. I probably want to take first turn next round. Because Argog can go into C2 here, threaten an Omni Slash. Can go to E2 currently, threaten an Omni Slash. And he's still got a route open too. That guy takes center. This maneuver is neat. This blocks this C2 space from Argog being able to travel to. And it puts this guy in a more threatening position where he's now threatening Warlock as an option. Still threatening the Goblin Archer, and it blocks the Mystic. Though he's pinned from taking this, because then it does open up my Mystic, but just provides an option for the future. Dragon Hatchling moves now, and this will threaten the Mystic. And that was a pretty clean answer to the Glade Hawk. Didn't have to really actually invest too many tools there. Keeps the Dragon Hatchling safe. Puts it in a more threatening location. I want to swap like this. Man, this was a bad move. I don't know if I did this or not. I don't know why I didn't see just simply protect the Archer. If I was going to move this at all. What does this move do? Another thing he can do, I think he does do eventually, is this guy can be burnt. Goes down to 2 HP, in threat range of Dragon Hatchling now. But that bear is still active, so probably have to heal that. This guy is pretty difficult to protect. I think actually Warlock makes this more difficult because of burn. I was like, yeah, I can just stick this also in a corner and protect it from the Argog. As long as I have bodies around him, and we're tranking stuff, he should be safe. But I think the burn is pretty huge. That's pretty brutal. We have debuff removal, I guess. Okay, not sure what to do on this turn, I guess. Rat took his turns very efficiently in terms of time. This is always something you're fighting against, is the clock. I think Rat did some training for this match, and so he was taking his moves very quickly. He was like plus 8 minutes on me. And I'm at a loss on what to do here, apparently. I think just swapping is good. Saving the Tethir Archer. I get last move. No, I don't really get last move. I need to do something because that Argog moves in and I have to protect the Bowmaster. Shooting is reasonable. This I don't like. You get an automatic game loss if you take more than 3 minutes with your current turn. I kind of feel like that should just skip a random unit or something. But anyways... We shoot with the Bowmaster, now my Ursa's rooted. This was really bad on my part too also, because I didn't actually think about this, but with both bears being rooted on the center, Bowmaster in range 2, Argog moves here, he's suddenly threatening 3 massive units. My entire board actually is being threatened by Argog right now, and for some reason I didn't play around this. We offer up a Sentinel. This was a strange play. Man, I don't think I played this well. This was such a easy thing to see. It stopped the 3/3 from taking any value. I don't know why I didn't see it. I was sleeping. Yeah, I think with that play... It wasn't that bad. If the Archer lives, I mean, this means we still get this guy to root something. First turn, next round I need to Trank Argog, because he goes here. Yeah. Tranking the bear makes sense, you think? Argog didn't actually end up hitting anybody this turn? Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, I made a comment about tranking this instead. Yeah, tranking on the bear makes sense maybe. I just am upset about not moving that one. Prepped the entire draft in basically the first round to avoid spending time, because I know you like thinking. Yeah. Yeah, the draft was taken really quickly, and I was like, he's gone so quick. I need to think. I guess the Archer is safe here. No, Archer's not safe. He can roar. I think I saw this. Yeah, I thought about this actually. For some reason I didn't think about this move, but I was thinking, yeah, sure, the bear can move, and then my next move has to be Hunter to G2 to protect, because he's inevitably taking this. And if I take... Well, the thing is... Do I have enough actions for that? So his next move here, he roars. My action, maybe I have to pass. His next action, he moves Argog. Right. And then if I do anything, he passes, kills all of this. So I have to be very careful with what my actual action is, because I need passing moves when Argog moves in. Actually, Argog could have moved this turn. And I think you actually guarantee a kill on this. Not guarantee, I could trank it, but... If Argog moves to E2 this turn, I have to pass, right? And then you could do this bear roar next turn. And then this means I can't body block. So I have to pass, you take my Archer, and now you're threatening Bowmaster, you're forking my Bowmaster with both the Warg Rider and Argog. That would have been a guaranteed, well, guaranteed good play. Yeah, I was thinking here, I knew I needed to move here, but I was like, is there any way I can just backstab this, get some free damage? No, there isn't. We have to block that hole. Haven't played this in a while, and now there is a World Cup. Yes, the World Championships. So we're watching a pre-recorded match, by the way. Obviously, I'm not playing right now, but these were the matches that we did play. This one just happened today. This tournament's been going on for a month. Well, since the start of January. And we've just been playing games over the course, so I've just been recording. And I think grand finals are happening maybe next week, maybe the following week. Okay. So now these two bears are just rooted. So we don't really have a choice but to pass. Yeah, and that's a huge spot. So we have to Trank, we have to make it Trank can't be removed. And then Rat doesn't really care, he gets a free gobble. I mean, take your pick, 3/3 takes. Hellbear is an option. And forcing your opponent to make a specific move's very good, even though, sure, this move will protect stuff. This means your opponent had to spend an action, so theoretically, Rat gets to go first this round after all, in a sense. I don't know. One thing I thought about in this round, he is Tranked, which reduces incoming damage to 0, but Trank counts as damage reduction. Kind of a technical rule, but shield gets calculated first before damage reduction, so there was moments where I thought about shooting the shield off, even though he's Tranked, and that works. It's just that the bears being adjacent to him is so brutal. And so part of this is draft. But part of it's also just keeping the bears in this position next to the Bowmaster and allowing the Omni Slash to just be so brutal. I moved the healer in. I moved the healer because I want to stop this guy from being pinned. This just adds to the Omni Slash value, but it does allow my 2/2 to be freed up and hit something. So he doesn't get sniped. Rat has an option to Dragon Hatchling this, but I think he finds a more clever line. Still got this one Sentinel here that we set up last turn and it got roared and he's still threatening a thing. So, yeah, that's a free action. But I think ultimately I want to get these bears out of here. Like, if I can take... Probably take the 3/3 with the Ursa Major, so I step out of range of the big Omni Slash. Especially now that I've been shot. Oh, I didn't realize I did this play. This is pretty bad. Because here, now Ursa Major gets rooted, burnt, and he goes down to 4 HP in kill threshold of Argog, which is so dangerous. I thought I did end up taking this. Does Rat do something different? I decided to take that Warg Archer before he got healed. I think I should have moved the Ursa Major though, because this is a brutal Omni Slash that I can't really play around too well. Like, this gets rooted. Maybe I move this, but then he roots Bowmaster, so I can't escape. Would you say Legacy's Allure plays more like a complex Summoner Wars rather than Faria? I haven't played Summoner Wars, so I couldn't really tell you. Plays more like it's a war game. It plays more like chess. Okay, so Rat decided to take this, and then I was able to take. Was there a reason he had to do this? Oh, because Ursa was threatening. Okay. Was that reasonable? I think I preferred rooting the Ursa Major here. Because it would make your 3/3 stay alive. I have no way of killing it then. Okay, Roots Bear. I take this. Interesting. I just leave this guy wide open. I think I needed to do something with Bowmaster here. Probably move it. Let's see. If I move it away... Obviously Argog can chase, but at least if I move... Maybe I can't protect it. I just have so little resources now, I think. I've taken too much damage and too much threat range on Omni Slash I've given. Rad piloted this very well. I made some pretty glaringly obvious mistakes now, looking at it. But yeah, Rat did the prep and it really paid off, so big props to him. I think it's pretty obvious that we're gonna lose this one. I'm just playing check-in right now. Am I even? I mean, I try to run some things away, but they just end up getting rooted. Yeah, this structure that we made at the start just compounded into a nightmare on round 1, round 2, round 3, where I just can never escape this structure and Omni Slash is just sitting there waiting. But ultimately, I think where I went wrong was that one space with the Tethir Archer. I put too much value into that space. Didn't leave that healer open to remove burns and roots on round 1. Invested a shield into the Archer. It was just too much. Into a unit that wasn't really doing much. And so that ultimately was the mistake. Another mistake was the bears just staying in the structure next to the Bowmaster, though. This is just asking to be Omni Slashed. Yeah, so this burn right here is pretty huge, because this means my Bowmaster's on 2 HP next turn, and that is in threat range of the Dragon Hatchling, and there's nothing I can do about it. Now he's rooted too, so I can't even move him away, I can't even maneuver, so that it's just dead. And this guy, this Ursa Minor, is also rooted and on 5 HP. A Goblin Archer's threatening to shoot it down to 4 HP, and you got Omni Slash. And in this position, I don't really have a lot of options. I could pass here, but it doesn't really matter. What do I do with a pass? I Trank again. A Bowmaster still dies to the Dragon Hatchling, and now I'm down a lot of units. Actually, he ends up Hellbearing into this Ursa Major just to kill it, which is good play. Because it does 5 damage with 2 burn. He'll take Retaliate, but kills the Ursa Major. Minor's now under threat, and my whole board's dead. Everything of value. Got a Hunter without spending mana, and Minor is dead to center. Yeah, that was another thing that was bad about Hunter taking center, was that he just melee attacked. I think I was a little bit threatened on time at some point, and I was like taking turns too quickly. But it doesn't really matter. At this point in the game, it was over. The game was pretty much solved, like won in the... I don't think in draft particularly, but on the first few turns, the game was over already. So yeah, Goblin Archer comes in and shoots. Very nice setup. I don't have much choice but to just pass. Let's see. I could put the Tethir Fletcher on G3 to stop my Ursa Major from dying at least. I saved my healer. Oh, I am just actually gonna take moves. Yeah, I guess I figure it's not even worth it. Like, whatever. Right, this miner can actually roar still. He has the ability to do that, so I think that's what I'm saving for. I don't think I actually saw the Hellbear hitting this. Oh. Oh, I did. No, I didn't. I rooted, but he's got a healer open. Okay, this should have been pretty obvious to me then. He removes the debuff, I think, this next move. So pretty obviously, he wants to take this. I guess he could take this. But, yeah, I think just Fletcher to G3 was solid. Decide to go for the roar instead. Oh, I think this is what I was thinking. I think I tunnel visioned a bit. I was like, okay, Hellbear wants to move to H2 and roar the Ursa Major closer to the Argog so he can Omni Slash. But nope, just trades. And that burn 2 means that's a dead Ursa Major. Red steps up. So it's my go, but what can I do? Bowmaster can shoot something, and then everything's dead. Omni Slash means you can't retaliate either, so unfortunately I was kind of at one point thinking of shooting the shield off, as I mentioned, and I was like, well, if he Omni Slashes, maybe I retaliate. That doesn't work that way. So, nothing to do here anymore. We're just gonna kind of mess around, I think. Yeah, but well played by Rant. I wish him luck in the next few sets. Tournament's not over yet. I am out of the tournament, but there's still a couple rounds left to the grand finals. Since this is a double elimination bracket, there's quite a few rounds. I think there was around like 16 people. But yeah, stay tuned for that. I think the grand finals will be posted on the official Legacies Allure YouTube channel. That one will be super exciting. Some good players in that one. Looks like it's going to be like all Gath in the finals, which will be interesting to see. I think players were thinking about the Sylvan matchup. Remember Empire saying he's been fighting Anwyn a lot. And he's been liking that matchup. And Aaron guards the other one, which Gath is generally pretty favored into. Gath, I feel like, was slept on a little bit in the past. I think what pulls it all together really is the Warlocks. I think Black Dragon also super powerful. Black Dragon, Warlocks, and Dragon Hatchling, some of the best units in the game. But cool to see the Argog paying off too. Alright, we will skip to the end here. My inevitable demise. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm going to take off. And stay tuned for the finals coming up next week, maybe a couple weeks. We'll see. See ya.